This is a Danger Entertainment podcast. DangerEntertainment.net. Danger Entertainment Podcast Network.
This episode of the History of Bad Ideas is sponsored by the Cincinnati Comic Expo. If you missed the Cincinnati Comic Expo in 2016, it will be returning to the Duke Energy Center in Cincinnati, Ohio in 2017, September 22nd through the 24th. Want to know what you missed out on? Go to the Cincinnati Comic Expo Facebook page, and they have all their panels with Stan Lee, John Barrowman, and many, many others. Also want to know what else you're missing out on? Check out History of Bad Ideas podcast number 143, as we have sit-down interviews with several of the guests at the Cincinnati Comic Expo. Again, September 22nd through the 24th of 2017. Get your tickets at the beginning of the year.
It's about comic books and movies, growing up with Rokusuki. Superman before Zack Snyder ruined him. Michael Keaton was the best Batman, while Christian Bale was just deadpan. No one remembers the other ones. Princess Leia in bikinis and Transformer Lamborghinis. Please don't let Shia LaBeouf ever act again.
Please, God, no.
Remembering tales from the crypt, back when Michael Bay wrote good scripts.
He wrote
And all right
scripts.
here is no mystery, 'cause it's the history of bad.
It's bad.
It's the history of bad.
So bad.
It's the history of bad ideas. It's the history of bad.
It's bad.
It's the history of bad.
So bad.
It's the history of bad ideas.
Podcast.
Welcome to the History of Bad Ideas, episode 147. I'm Jason,
I am Jeff.
Blake.
and Blake's back. Welcome, Blake. Hi.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Where have I been?
Well, I thought you were going to be lost up in Canada,
Oh yeah, that's right.
so I didn't know if you were coming back. You came back. You went to Canada,
Yes.
Canada, this past
Yeah,
weekend.
we went to Canada.
And is it a requirement when you cross the border into Canada you have to have a beard? You have to come back with a beard?
No, actually, this beard is a result of pure laziness.
Okay.
I don't understand.
I just didn't feel like shaving. not intent. I know to somebody like Jeff with a man beard, you know where his is intentional.
That's
and
not the only thing
No,
manly
it's I
about
didn't
him
feel like shaving.
No, but it's finely sculpted.
for 2 years.
This is not finely sculpted.
It's symmetrical. Either that or you grow a great symmetrical beard.
Okay, it grows evenly.
It does. Yours grows evenly.
This side grows as much as this side.
And it's nice and symmetrical. Isn't it symmetrical,
It
Jason?
is actually. I do.
I'll take it.
It is. See, it almost looks like it's intentional.
Are you ever going to shave? I'm just asking. Would you ever shave your beard?
I would if the money's right.
Who's paying you to shave
I
it?
don't know.
Is that Kickstarter?
Maybe.
Oh, a Kickstarter to shave.
How about if somebody sent us
Jeff's
20 pounds of
beard.
Pez?
20 pounds of Pez.
You would shave your beard, and we would do it on Facebook Live?
Oh, I could do that.
Okay, 20 pounds of Pez. At one time, right?
At one time, yeah.
Okay.
It's not this nickel and diamond stuff.
No.
Yeah,
Anyways, Blake, so thank you. No, about your beard, though.
but it's more out of sheer laziness because I go to the gym and I shower.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't take my shave kit with me because that's too much effort.
Yeah,
You're
it's
not the-
annoying showering at the gym.
Well,
Shaving at the gym.
Hey, I get a good workout on and I get stinky sweaty, man.
No, I meant shaving.
Yeah,
Showering,
I don't shave at the gym. Who shaves at the gym?
I shower at the gym at my work, and that we have a
You
gym.
shower at
Yeah,
the gym.
but the worst is when you come out of the shower and you
Yeah.
look over and there's a naked guy. He's just shaving away, just... It's
Yeah.
like, no, we don't need to see that. Put it away. No, put some pants on before you shave.
Have I ever gone through my annoying gym people?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
you
you
have.
have.
Yeah, all right, I'm just making sure.
We've
because,
had that story time already.
Yeah, all right, we've had that story time already. Okay, yes. But unless you're like going to the gym before you go to work, then I can understand.
I usually
If you're
shave the
gonna
night
shave
before.
there.
I shave the night before. I take a shower and I shave in the shower, actually, and do it the night before.
So this actually started from being lazy, and then it gets past gets to the Brett Favre stage.
You are very Brett Favre-like.
Yeah, and and then when I got to that stage, it was like, now I am intentionally trying not to shave.
Well,
Oh,
November is what? Movember.
November. Yeah, but I'll have a clean face by
Okay.
then.
In a week.
I'll probably have a clean face tomorrow morning.
Okay.
The novelty's wearing off now because you reach that point where it's nice and fun
that
to play
itchy
with.
point?
Yeah, it's gonna be the itchy point. But the fun part is, stroking your beard and your stubble, and you're like, hey, this is pretty cool. And then you're starting to look at how the gray's coming in, the gray, patches with your regular color. I'm done. I'm like, all right, this is fine.
The itchiness is why I get a bikini wax every 2 months.
Yeah.
It usually helps a lot.
I just threw up in my mouth.
Well, I only bleach once a year, but
Yeah.
the bikini wax is every 2 months. Every 2 months. So you went up to Canada. How was it?
I was up in Canada for one evening,
Yes, in Toronto area, or no, Buffalo area, right?
Well, no, I was the buffalo, the buffalo on the Canadian side,
yes.
the Canadian buffalo side. I was up there. Yeah, we were up there for Niagara for a day. The girls were playing St. Bonaventure, and if you ever are from that part of New York or you're aware of that part of New York, there's nothing there except a lot of double wides and open space. That's about it. So we went about 2 hours north, and we're like, let's go to Niagara. So we went to Niagara, and I was wearing my Indians Antigua.
What is Antigua?
The Antigua is like a pullover with a partial zip in the front with a collar,
Okay.
long sleeve.
Okay.
You wear it as like an outer
I get it
jacket, kind of like
I just never heard of
like a
Antigua.
semi warm, semi cold
Okay.
weather pullover.
Yeah, when you tweeted that out, I thought, what's he talking about?
Facebook,
The Caribbean
not
island?
tweet. He doesn't tell you.
I don't tweet on
I'm sorry.
Facebook.
You Facebooked. I'm
yes,
like,
sir, Indians in Antigua. Like,
I'm
who's
like,
this fashion
is he in the
jerk?
Caribbean?
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
I thought it was a soccer team, Indians and Antigua, that you were wearing. I was confused.
Yeah, it's the Cleveland Antiguans. No, but and it had the Block C on there, and we go into the casino, and I realized that I forgot we're really close to Toronto, so
Yep.
there's like
Go Blue Jays.
tons of Canadians with Blue Jay gear on, walking around, and I was in the bar. Of course, my father-in-law came with us, for the trip to go watch and all that kind of fun stuff, and it's just two guys in the bar, and we're ordering drinks, we're having a beer, and these guys are standing there, and so they're right next to me, and I kind of like turn, and I look at them, and the guy just goes boom and pops me on the chest on the C, and he's like, I respect your C, but I don't respect that other insignia that you have, and he's of course referring to Chief Wahoo.
Oh, okay.
And before I can get my next thing out, like, well, fuck you, man. The first thing he comes out is like, and I went there for game 1 of the Blue Jays, and everybody in Cleveland treated me really well. And I was like,
Thanks.
thanks. Okay.
I had to talk with the whole crowd beforehand, sir, so that's why. Okay.
All right. Fine. But and we made some small talk after that. It's like, oh yeah, it's great, fine. And we walked away, and my wife's like, what the fuck was that all about?
Canada, they're just nice.
They're just Canadians.
What's that all
It's
boot?
Good. I did realize that I had to speak a little slower so that they can understand my English.
Canada likes us.
And I had to say an awful lot.
Well, that's okay. Did you say a boot?
Actually, when he tapped my chest and did that, the first thing I did say was,
And they punched him.
Yeah.
Get the fuck up.
Yeah.
We're not done.
Yeah, he hit you, and you said, sorry.
Sorry.
No, we love Canada. They're one of our bigger markets. Shh.
It's pretty good. So,
Well,
yeah. So,
Canada area we
Yes.
like.
Yes. Everybody.
Canada. Greater Canada.
I will say, speak of foreign lands, big news this week. Nerdly.co.uk is back.
Yay!
Those wankers are back.
That means we have to get our card back out.
Oh, we found it. Okay.
That means we have to use Brilliance, Jolly Good, Cheeky Monkey, Wanker, and the C word.
Cookies.
No.
Oh.
The
Then
one
they
that
call
I'm
those
not allowed to say
biscuits.
anymore.
I said it once, and it was on a Twitter reaction online.
It's the C word. It's a 4-letter word.
I called, I think, Kevin James one.
Second letter U
Yep.
ends in a T.
Yeah.
But when we say it, we mean it the British version, not the horrible
Yeah,
American.
not the American version. We're talking the British version. We're not
Yeah,
Trump.
we're talking about the Queen's, the
Yes,
Queen's C word.
The Queen's. I don't want to know about the Queen's C word.
And we have to talk about explanation.
Explanation? What is that?
You don't remember that?
I do not remember
We'll
that.
have to go back and listen.
No, Nerdly is back.
Yay, Nerdly. And they post actually a lot of your reviews, don't they,
Yes, they
Jason?
do. They post all my movie reviews, which will be Doctor Strange next week.
Yay, Doc.
Yep. That is next week, right? November 3rd.
Yeah,
that week.
not this Friday, but the following Friday.
But no, they have a lot of movie reviews. They got a lot of TV reviews, comic book reviews. They have a lot of stuff. They have some good podcasts on there besides us. They have the 365 chaps. So Nerdly is back. They were down for a while, but they are back. We're excited to be back in UK, Britannia.
Hello, governors.
Jolly good time.
Oh, you cheeky monkeys.
Oh, good day. No,
Good
day.
Ah, you wanker.
I feel like we're out of practice.
I'll
EastEnders.
throw my croissant at you.
That's French. That's French.
I know, I'm doing it from across the channel.
Okay. Chanel.
Chanel.
Across from the
sorry.
Chanel.
From across the Chanel.
It's a perfume too.
Oh, number 5.
It is. So, no, we are very happy to be back on Nerdly. So, Phil, great job getting us back up.
Jolly
and
good. Jolly good.
Getting Nerdly back up and check them out, nerdly.co.uk. We also want to send a quick shout out to Justin Ruff on Twitter. You all right over there, Jeff? You dying?
Yeah, I was trying to give her a shout out, and my voice gave out on me.
Justin Ruff tried us out. And tried us out along with a couple other podcasts and liked us and told everybody to give us a chance. So I appreciate that. If you're a new listener and you like us, make sure you like us. And you just give us a shout on Twitter. We'll throw you on here. So appreciate it.
How many episodes until his psychiatrist prescribes him to stop listening to us?
Usually if he goes back and listens to the Worsley episode, that's usually when it starts.
Hey, you know what? Everybody that's back on nerdly.com UK.
Nerdly.co.uk. Yes.
Nerdly.co.uk. Go back and listen to the Worsley episode. I think they'll love it.
They might. I think actually they canceled. Nerdly went down after that
They
episode.
went down after the Worsley episode.
That might have been why Nerdly went down.
Oh my goodness. We apologize, Nerdly.
I can't be 100% on that, but possibly. So, also stick around a little bit later on. We're going to have Ken Johnson from Dead Men Inc. He wrote Corpse Corp.
Corpse Core.
Corpse Corp or Corp.
Well,
Either way.
Well, it's corporation. So
Okay.
we're on Army Corps, so...
I have a speech impediment.
All right.
But no, Ken's on here. We have a nice little chat with him a little bit later on.
Isn't he the man who watched Batman?
He is. He also watched the whole Batman animated series and went through in detail on each episode.
By choice.
Yes. Hey,
Not
it's a
part
good
of his
series.
psychiatric rehab.
That's right. I feel like he's kind of like the guy from PCU. He's just watching the TV show for his senior thesis. And what was it? I can't remember the two characters that he needed to
Gene
act.
Hackman and...
Adam West?
Some people just want to watch the
Michael
world burn.
Caine?
Yes.
Oh, okay. But, no, Ken's great. And he came onto our show after, he was on Snake Oil and realized, whoa, do you want to get away from that fire? So he came over to us, and we appreciate that.
You know, that actually could be something that could inspire Justin Ruff. You know, he can go back and start listening to all the Hobie episodes and write about them someday.
Not the first 10. Skip those, Justin.
No, he can talk about the evolution of the show, how much
That's right.
better you guys got as time went on.
Well, you're on the show too, Blake.
I brought it back down.
No, I mean, you feel like you peaked us. No, we appreciate all the listeners out there. And you can find us on Facebook at Bad Ideas Podcast.
And especially if you're
History
new.
of Bad Ideas.
Yeah, especially if you're new, let Jason know so he can pimp you.
Yep. You know that. We're on Twitter at Bad Ideas Podcast. And you can email us, Jeff, we're at
At HobiePod at
Gmail.com.
Gmail, thank you.
You can tell he checks that regularly.
We do.
HobiePod at gmail.com.
We check all that and Bad Ideas Podcast on Twitter, History of Bad Ideas on Facebook, and like us on iTunes. That will help us with reviews, please, if you can give us a nice review.
And be sure to check out our Tumblr page.
And Tumblr is on
Tumblr/history of bad ideas.
porn.com.
Why not?
.gov.
Whatever you do, don't go to Pornhub and and try to look for Hobie.
Could you imagine going to Pornhub putting bad ideas in? That's not going to end well with good porn.
Be a Remy LaCroix impersonation that you do.
Dumped over Remy LaCroix porn. Oh, what are you doing putting that in my butt? What are you doing with that croissant? God. I apologize to Remy LaCroix. Anyways, is that really your name? Remy LaCroix?
Well, that's her.
Well, I know that's her
name.
stage.
Exactly. She's a hula hoop champion. That's all I know about her. Why are you asking me?
What do you
think I know about this stuff?
Yeah, you're a
I only know this because I read about it.
That's right. Because if you have the top 5 list, if you could.
Yeah, if I were allowed to have a 5 list, yeah.
Yes.
Would Remy LaCroix be on it?
That's a good question.
We did get
For hula hooping, yeah.
TPC Podcast in Canada did like our up-down segment that we're doing lately. Just started actually last week. So one thing we're up on, one thing we're down on. Jeff, is there anything you're up on this week?
I am up on the National Hockey League this week.
And why is that?
Just last night, flipped on a game. Mm-hmm. 2 teams I really don't have a rooting interest in and really enjoyed just watching the game. Mm-hmm. The Chicago-Calgary game.
Who won?
It was a fun game. Calgary won in the shootout.
Good.
The rooting interest I did have was my fantasy goalie was playing for Calgary, so I got a win in that against you and Nichols' team.
Nickel's really kind of bringing us up. I'm bringing us down, so I appreciate Nickel being my co-owner.
Hey, apparently Sidney Crosby is starting tonight.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if we put him in.
At what point does Sid stop becoming the kid?
When he can remember who he is after all the concussions.
Ooh.
Kid, you're all right, kid? I'm okay, man. I'm okay.
Put me back in, Dad.
I'm okay.
All right, go sit down.
Don't you go stop drooling over there. I wanted to draft Connor McDavid, but I was vetoed on that one.
Yeah, I don't think you remember it correctly.
I've had concussions. So you're up on the NHL.
I'm up on the NHL.
Blake, what are you up on?
I'm up on the Tribe in the World Series.
There you go. We'll have that on in the green room behind us.
I know. You know, Dr. Bednar tried very hard to talk me out of coming here tonight.
What?
They watched the Game 1 of the World Series with him. And the Cavs championship
Dr.
ring.
Bednar.
Yes, that's right. Dr. Bednar.
You know what?
So who's on the poop list now?
Oh, you know what? That's why we like Henno's music a little bit better. He cares just a little bit more. Well, you know what I'm up on?
You know, they gave me a lot of poop for not joining them for the World Series Game 1.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, but you know, in truth, I got my shirt. I've got the Cleveland Cavaliers championship shirt.
You a little bitter at Hobie tonight?
I got my ball cap, my
Chief
Tribe
Wahoo?
ball cap, Chief Wahoo.
Okay.
The insignia that's not respected by Toronto Canadiens.
I will say that everybody on Hobie, if it makes you feel better, since you hate us tonight because we're here, I feel like everybody on Hobie is Team Tribe. I think we're all Team Tribe.
Yes.
Do you know who else is Team Tribe?
Who's that?
Pete Rose.
Oh, let's not go into that.
No! I was sitting there, doing my show preps, eating chicken wings.
Yep.
And the crew for Fox came on. Mm-hmm. And Pete Rose is part of the crew. And when I first saw him, I said, what the hell is Pete Rose doing as part of the thing? And then it got me even worse. I was like, what the hell is A-Rod doing there? What the hell?
Yeah, Pete Rose and A-Rod are
Pete
the
Rose
crew.
and A-Rod. And so I was like, screw those guys. We're going to ruin my watching of the World Series. And then they said, well, who are you rooting for? And one guy says, Cubs. Oh, and then Pete Rose says, Cleveland Indians. And I said, okay, Pete, I'll give you a flag on this one. Here you go.
Give you a pass.
I'll give you a pass.
I'm shocked that A-Rod, you have 2 cheaters on, Pete and A-Rod.
I can't remember who A-Rod picked.
You know what? The audience...
I'm still stunned at Pete Rose still. I'm still going through, screw you, Pete Rose, you son of a... Oh, okay, thanks, Pete.
Everybody hates Pete Rose. How can we get the fans to like him, Fox? Let's put A-Rod on. Everybody hates him worse. Yeah. Yep, let's do it.
What's great about this World Series is the fact that some team's sad history is going to end.
Hopefully the Indians.
Yeah, and it's not like one or the other. They're both in at the same time. So you've seen a lot of the memes about hell's frozen over and all that kind of fun stuff. So this is what makes it a great series. I mean, somebody's going to win. They have to win.
Does this?
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Does this go past the elections?
It could. No, no,
Oh, wait.
No, it won't.
Wait, are you sure?
Yeah, November 8th
It'll
is
be-
election.
Oh my God!
Yeah, next
Somebody, we need to check. Game
next
7 has to happen
Wednesday.
before election
the second,
night.
The second, I think, is when Game 7 will be. The elections aren't until the 8th.
Unless
Good.
it snows.
All right,
in
good.
Chicago and Cleveland, they can't play
All
for
right,
6
so
days.
there's got to be a winner. There will be no end of the world.
Until Trump takes over as the
Oh
czar
God,
before the election.
help us all.
I'm up on...
Well, I don't know. Trump is not going to not going to concede even if he loses.
That's true. That's
did
true.
say
And that
that.
means that, again, that he can win. And, you know, if he, as long as he doesn't concede, he's okay. He's going to be president, right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
You know,
Okay.
there's been a lot of losers that haven't conceded in the past too. I've been on both sides of the parties. Oh, they're all knuckleheads.
Some say our podcast should concede.
Yeah.
Just overall.
I mean, look, Nerdly.co
.co.
UK never conceded, and they're back.
That's right, bastards.
And the
They're
Indians
back,
are in
baby.
the World Series. Is it because of Nerdly?
I think it might be. You know what I'm up on? I'm up on Cleveland Indians, too. I'll go with Blake. You know what I'm down on? I got one bet down thing I'm on. Dr. Bednar. Right now, I'm a little down on Dr. Bednar.
Yeah.
So, Hedo, you win the floppy this year for best music, possibly. Just saying.
We'll see how that goes.
Some have dedication to our show. Just saying.
Yeah.
Jeff, anything you're down on?
I'm down on the NFL.
Yeah, good.
I'm up on the NHL, down on the NFL. I watched Sunday night's game.
My Arizona team looked really good.
That was an abomination of football. And because of that game, I realized a 0-0 soccer game is more interesting.
Ouch.
Woo.
Well, see, here's the thing. I had my Cardinals on because I'm a huge Arizona Cardinals fan. Ever since they even had Kent Graham.
You know, you're
Ever since they were in St. Louis,
Yeah.
That was 2 years after St. Louis, I think it was.
Yeah.
after they moved.
Yeah, I don't remember. I was too young to remember them in St. Louis, in all honesty.
Yeah, there's no logic between Jason and what teams he likes. But all right, go ahead. Anyways, try to relate it. Try to connect it.
I had Arizona on. I had The Walking Dead
Yeah.
season premiere, and I had Westworld that night.
Yeah.
It was a rough night. No wrestling pay-per-view. That's next
this
week.
Yeah.
So I had 3 great things. So I start watching the first part of the Arizona game, switch to The Walking Dead and watch that full, and then at commercial I would go back and forth. Then I looked down at my phone and I was like, end of third quarter, 3-0. Well, I don't think I really need to watch that game right now. I can watch Westworld. So then I watched Westworld. Look down, 6-6. It's okay. I'll flip back now. Westworld's done. And then I was like, Seattle's driving down. Well, Arizona missed the kick.
Arizona missed a field goal.
And Seattle drove down the field, and I'm like, oh, dear God. They're going to win it on a chip shot. This sucked. What the hell just happened? And Seattle missed it, which really kicks me in the nuts because Steve Hoshka is my kicker for fantasy.
well, got you 2 field
I didn't
goals.
start him. I did not start him, thank God. But yes, it was a horrible game.
Well, it makes you feel better. Canizero was my starter, so.
To quote Donovan McNabb, I didn't know it could end in a tie. We did have a Twitter poll of the week. We had 2 of them this week.
Polls of the week.
Who really is William on Westworld? Let's see. In last place at 6%, he's just a regular human. Nothing big.
Just a regular Joe.
Joe's just a guest.
Guy.
Third place, which is my idea, it's Teddy. He's designed from him. It's a past version of Teddy.
This is one of your other theories that have been debunked.
Yes.
All right, go
Has
ahead.
it already been debunked?
Yeah,
Well,
pretty close.
this one not yet.
It
Not
will
yet.
be.
It should be.
12% had Teddy. Second place was 29% had the Man in Black.
That was his first theory. It's been debunked since then.
It's been debunked?
I don't think
Yes.
it
Why
has.
was it debunked?
I don't think it has. And in first place, 53%, did Negan kill him? So
That was first place. Yeah,
everybody was
Didn't
at?
Negan kill him? Yeah, that's
everybody
right.
caught up on Westworld?
Yes.
Everybody loving it still?
Yeah, I have notes.
Oh.
Okay, I'll put it this way. I watched it, like, after you guys, oh, this is so great, and I watched it, I'm like, I enjoyed it.
But it's
There ain't
not
nothing
so
to talk about.
What?
What happened? There's nothing to talk about. I'm enjoying
Bernard's getting some on the side.
it. Oh, okay. I mean,
Yeah, go Bernard. You're a robot. Get somebody. Everybody knows you're a robot. One of the guys I work with came up to me and he's like, okay, I'm caught up on Westworld. We can now talk. And I was like, okay. And he's like, can we all just get it out of the way? Bernard's a robot, right? Yep. Okay, moving on.
we don't know that yet.
It's going to be a twist that he's
We
not.
don't
but-
know that
It's
yet.
going to turn out he's not. Everyone's thinking he is.
Could you
and
help
he's not.
explain one thing to me? when one thing, Anthony Hopkins is talking to the board member, and they're in the restaurant.
Talking to the chair lady.
Yes. I understand he has the power, like, to stop all the robots because he's, somehow is just...
At the wave of a finger.
Yes.
Because he's created them all.
Yes. What did it mean, like... Was he, like, trying to intimidate her?
Yes.
Yes.
I get that he was... But, what was he trying to show her? Like, I am the all-powerful, don't fuck with me, basically?
Basically,
Pretty much.
yes.
Okay.
That's what I got from
Because
it.
she's... oh,
But
God.
she's speaking for the board.
She's
and they
claims
wanna,
to be speaking for the board, and they want to know what's going on.
And they're worried about the storyline.
Worried about the storylines and everything else, and he shows his cards like, oh, they're already sending somebody out. Don't you know?
Okay.
So he's already like showing his. He's like, I know what's going on more than you do, and it's a intimidation tactic. Like, I'm doing what I want. Don't screw with me. I'm God in this world. Because essentially, he can stop everything and make everything go and work.
How they're sitting at the same table that she sat at as a
When
girl.
she was a kid.
Yeah, and he's talking about
we
how-
know all our
know.
guests and we know all our employees.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: what deranged parent is taking their kid to this thing, this place?
Well, apparently there are kids and parents with kids running around the place
There
too.
might be child-friendly storylines. We just
Yeah,
haven't
there
seen
could
them
be.
yet. They
Well,
said
there's all kinds.
many stories going on.
But
at
is
this
Sweetwater is the town? As long as you stay there, it's a little bit easier, nicer. And then
Time.
easy
You mean
for-
the town where the gangsters ride in and shoot
Yes.
everybody?
Yeah,
that
it's
Sweet
safer
Nights
there.
area?
And what do you think he's building? Do you think it's just storyline about religion and he's a god? My one thought, and I have no backing on this, I was like, what happens if they like make it a whole new world, like the Greek world or something like that? I was like, that would be kind of a clever little twist that this is a new area to go into.
I have absolutely no clue what he's building,
Well,
and I'm not speculating.
I have no
on
idea
it.
It's good. It's good. I think it may be related to the maze.
Okay.
Or something along those lines. The maze, we keep learning and keeps coming out in slow reveals. We're learning more and more about this. It's even to the point where the man in black, is like he's looking for the Easter egg, in the game because he's been there
Yeah.
for 30 years. And on a side note, wasn't it pretty funny? The man in black meets up with the gang as he's looking for the lady with the snake tattoo.
Yes.
And this guy goes, "Hey man, aren't you? Your foundation saved my sister or whatever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Shut the fuck up! You say another word, I'm gonna slit your throat. This is my fucking vacation."
I love that.
I was like, "That was awesome."
So he's actually a really good person out in the real world. He has a
Yeah.
foundation.
So he,
Yeah.
obviously he runs some kind of like maybe cancer
But
foundation or research foundation that
That's why
saves
I love
lives.
this show so much, is because just that little snippet, you're like, oh, he's not really an asshole in real life. Well, he could be, but he runs a foundation to save people, and in here it's like, fuck
And
you.
here's
I'm
his
like,
way of blowing off steam
Yeah.
by being a bad guy. Man,
Yeah.
is he a bad guy?
I think it just ties into William's brother-in-law. It just turns into the whole morality themes of doing things without consequence and etc. And I think this is something that Dr. Ford knows, is like how dark can people really be, and he's realized that, and that's probably why he's created now the Wyatt string.
Yes.
Guess who the Snake Lady's going looking for? Wyatt. Now, this is supposedly something that's been new programmed in the storyline. The Man in Black's looking for Wyatt now because Wyatt apparently now holds
The
information about the maze.
Oh,
yeah, the maze.
To the
Yeah.
center of the maze. And even Bernard makes a hint to Dolores about go to the maze. And, Dr. Ford, you do see in previews for next episode, Dr. Ford and the Man in Black are at dinner together and they're having some kind of discussion. And
Yep.
there's some kind of knife thing that breaks out. And Teddy's there, by the way. So we'll see what happens there with that.
I was very upset. Teddy, a.k.a. Kenny, did not die this week. I was very upset with that.
He almost
No,
died.
he
Almost.
didn't die. He was
He'll-
just tied to
He was
that
just tied-
rock, asking him to kill him.
Do you think
By
the man
Wyatt
in-
and the leather faces.
Do you think the Man in Black is Ford's brother? He does mention he had a brother.
And he's been going there for 30 years. He knows all
He
the
has full
storylines.
reign.
He's played them out. And you know what is kind of interesting? They're like, hey, we have a request for pyrotechnic scene. And they're like,
Yes.
granted. Boom, the cigars with the bloating.
Yeah.
bloating
I
the
thought that
heads
was kind of
out.
clever.
It is cool. You know what else is very clever about this? All the hosts that we've seen as background or side stories, they're all being intermingled and related. As we keep moving on from episode to episode, you're learning more and more about these people, and Maeve's, and the madam, the super bad guy that turns out the Man in Black's in the jail cell with him. The guy that comes and of course the snake lady is the lady that you see in the early episodes and shooting the town up.
You didn't
with
even
him.
realize it, yeah.
You didn't realize, and you're like, oh man, all this stuff's coming together. It's great.
It's very similar to like every time they just show the same scene, but they add just a little bit more, a little bit more, and you're learning, and it's like a video game. It really is like you.
It's like you save, pause, go back, kind of deal. But the thing to keep in mind, and Jonathan Nolan had talked about this in an interview, is that, and remember, he did Memento, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. And he said that there's going to be twists revealed by the time the season is over, and so let's keep those in. So you know what, your William could be
he's a Man
Prelude
in Black
for Teddy,
I think
or it could be William there the first time. That's his first story, the Man in Black's first experience.
That's what I'm thinking.
And what you're thinking, and he could be tied to Dr.
both.
Ford. Could be both. I don't know.
He could be Teddy. He could be the Man in Black and the inspiration for Teddy, and that's why anytime he sees Teddy, he's like, Teddy, knowing that he was the guy who inspired him.
That could be.
because
now.
because that's Dr. Ford's brother is like, you know what? I'm going to make a good version of you based off of this because you're such an asshole when you come in here.
I really am enjoying it. I love the main bad guy, who Maeve was talking to at the end of the episode.
Yes.
He's awesome. He's awesome. I love him.
The bad guy? Yeah,
yes.
he is pretty awesome. And Maeve is reaching
Hector, I think it is.
Hector,
Yeah.
I believe. So, who is the buddy to, was it Lawrence, the guy that's the Man in Black's dragging around, the news, the bad
Yes.
guy?
Yeah.
His buddy? Yeah, so it is kind of funny that Maeve is basically she's basically having the realizations of what's really going on, and she sketches the doctors in the suits and their little suits, and she goes to hide it, and she finds the other papers where she's
got a stack of them where she keeps
realizes
doing it.
she's been doing this over and over again.
I thought that was awesome.
And she realizes when Hector comes in, she's like, what you're looking for is not in the safe. I'll just give you the combo, but you got to give me information.
And stab me.
And stab me. And she's like, look, I know there's a bullet in me. And so she finally realizes none of this matters. And, and then her scene ends with Hector, the crescendo, them busting through the door. Obviously, probably gets shot up.
I like how the Native Americans are the ones that worship.
Making a cult out of that.
Yes, they worship the guys that are building it.
Yeah, the guys. Isn't that weird?
When she opened up that floorboard and saw the other pictures, I was like, "That's pretty badass."
That was really cool.
That was the scene of the episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
and she just keeps going through, and I'm like, "Oh shit, how many do I have in here?"
Yeah,
it's such a God. I love that show.
This is a great show. I like it.
Apologize if no one else is watching, but I think everybody is. It's getting good reviews.
Yeah, so that's my up on the Westworld side.
Yes, right. Bonus poll.
Bonus poll. Yeah, that's right. We got to keep moving.
Were you happy with the Walking Dead season premiere? 3% said not bad, but not great. 24% said nope, disappointed.
Ooh.
Second place was 28% said too violent for me, but you'll be back.
There was some graphic violence.
And number one said 45% said yes, it was awesome. This was our one of our top polls ever.
Awesome.
We got lots and lots of response. And
although didn't see it, don't care wasn't one of the
shut
options.
up, go to the green room.
Oh, I'm going to watch the World
that's
Series.
right. You're
you
7
guys
series
discuss.
behind, right?
I'm 7 seasons behind. Yeah.
What did you think about Walking Dead, Blake?
I liked it. Now, unlike some people, I know the graphic novels because I listen to you guys all the time, and you talk, so I know what's coming. I know that Abraham was on borrowed time.
Yes.
And I was thinking, it would make sense.
Oh, time out. Spoilers.
Oh, yeah. Oops, sorry.
Spoilers.
But it gets better.
For the next 10 minutes.
For the next 10 minutes, you go. Fast forward. No, but, hey, you know what? If you're a Walking Dead fan and you haven't seen it yet, the onus is on you.
Yeah.
But,
Hit pause. Come back when you're done watching
well,
it.
people on Twitter are like, how dare you spoil Walking Dead? This was like, I don't know, 5 hours after it showed, or the next morning. And everybody was like, don't go to social media. When I got home, I was late. I had Westworld to watch. I had Walking Dead. And what else was going on Sunday night? Cardinals soccer game. The
Oh
Arizona
no,
Cardinals
that's
soccer
yeah,
game.
your guys' tweets, and my phone's blowing up. I'm like, damn you! He's like, Cardinals. Oh, okay, that's good. But I got home late because I was coming back from Canada and the girls' soccer game, and so I was like, I know I can't look at anything social media. I can't look at any messages. Can't look whatever. So I got home. I turned the phone off, and I went.
Yep.
And I started. I had to go watch everything in itself. You know?
I did the same thing. As soon as Walking Dead started, I had to pause it a couple times with the kids getting up in that upstairs. So I put my phone down. I didn't even look at it. I turned it down. I didn't care. Just don't look at social media if you don't want to know.
That's true. But Abraham gets the whack first.
Yes. And I love how he just stood up the whole time.
It
Like,
was
fuck
pretty
you.
good, and he does is suck my nuts. Which was pretty funny, but the thing I
Greatest
missed...
last line ever.
Yeah, exactly. I missed it, but when I went to go back to read about it, they showed a sign where he flashed the peace sign to
Rosita?
Brazita or his girl there, like,
The other girl,
I got it, this is fine, I'll take it for the team. And so when I'm sitting there going, that's interesting because Glenn didn't get whacked.
Yeah.
But I sat there and I thought, there's a whole hour to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see what happens. And then sure enough, the results, he breaks,
Daryl hits him. Negan.
Daryl tries to go and he's like, hey, there's consequences. And he turns around and he's like, whack. And they showed Glenn. Oh,
His
my
eye.
God. Oh, that's so sad.
It's from the comic book.
Yeah, really? That's all.
The eyes in the comic book.
The dented in. And he's trying to talk. He's like, Maggie, I'll find you.
Yeah.
Basically, I guess in the afterlife, but it's, loving, touching, yay. And then Glenn goes down, and then, he continues on. And what else is interesting is that I really thought that he was going to have Rick, whack Carl's arm. I was like,
Oh, my God.
holy crap.
And he even had the snot bubble coming out, too. Rick did. Did you
Oh
see
yeah,
that?
Rick, yeah, they had him going. They probably had him sniff some pepper and all that,
my-
phlegm going. And I was sitting there going, "Holy crap! This is." I mean, I expected one death, but two heads bashed in, and now we're gonna get two heads and an arm.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Or I'm like, oh my god! Or is this where Rick cuts his own hand off because in the
That's
books,
what I thought, yep.
in the books he's without his hand. So is that how they're gonna do it? I'm like, holy crap! And then he stops him, and I was like, dude. So yeah,
Make sure you
The
cut
whole-
it so it's like salami rolls over so we can
Oh
save it.
yeah, exactly.
I think the reason I heard about all this, I think the reason that they didn't cut off Carl's arm is because that's just a lot more money you have to put into CGI for future episodes.
Robert Kirkman did say that was his biggest mistake was cutting Rick's hand off in the book because he always has to draw without the hand. And he's like, and then you said the same thing. It's just too difficult to have everyone go back every scene he's in.
Yeah.
And they said, no, we're not cutting that off.
Yeah, but it's good. They had to show how Rick is broke.
Yep.
He breaks them, eventually, and
But
my wife doesn't watch the series, but she's the comments. She's like, "How could you watch that? It was the worst ever." Blah blah blah. I said, "But that's the gist of it, honey. In the post-apocalyptic world, the zombies aren't the monsters.
Yep.
The monsters are the other people.
yeah.
That is the real."
That's the whole gist of the book and everything.
Exactly, So she's like, "Oh, well, okay, that's fine."
So we're the Walking Dead.
Yeah, it's pretty much what they say in the book, too.
As we understand it, and if we were there, Jeff would have lopped our arms off without a hesitation.
Correct.
As we learned last week,
You don't trust
he would have
Jeff.
sold us out. You don't be friends with Jeff in the post-crapolyptic world.
Make sure you cut it like it has salami. Jeff would be like, "You have salami? I'll cut his hand off for salami. Give me the hand. Give me it. Give me it. Give me the butcher knife." Sorry, Coral. Sorry, Blake.
Boink, boink.
Where's my salami? I like to keep it in my beard for afterwards. I did like how after everybody left, the saviors left, that Maggie gets up and is badass, is like, let's fucking go after them.
Yeah.
Like her comment, and that's in the books, she becomes the badass.
Yeah, she the library people.
Yeah.
With the little hilltop. She
The hilltop, she becomes
becomes
that.
the leader of the hilltop. The neat thing too that I missed as well when I went to go read about it. The Polaroid guy
Yes, he's in the background taking pictures. of
taking
the heads.
pictures. And if you remember last season,
He was in the outpost.
Glenn is looking at the pictures of Polaroids in the outpost of these people with their heads bashed in. And sure enough, there's that asshole, for
Taking the picture.
taking the pictures for, I guess that's how one of the ways that Negan keeps his own people in line. And,
Yeah.
this is how, how it is. So yeah, rough.
I love how he picks Daryl. He takes Daryl and puts him. Did you notice though? First off, after he punches him, they hold him down. He's like a caged animal.
Yeah.
Like this, his acting was like that. His body language. They put him into the van, and he's pacing around. He's kind of strutting like a gorilla. Moment of silence for Harambe. But he looked like a wild animal ready to get at Negan, and I love that scene. I thought that was awesome.
And how he gets thrown into the van.
Yeah.
How he's got the
He's hunched over.
He's hunched over. Yeah, it's like a caged animal.
What's
literally.
his name? Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl.
That suits him. That fits him. When Negan
that's
asked him what
kinda
his
good.
name was.
Yeah.
It was a great episode. I loved it. My wife did say, she looked up from time to time. She's like, how can you watch this? And I was like, it's amazing. Like, this is good. And
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to extract violence on inanimate objects or
Yeah.
fantasy creatures, but when you're doing it from human being to human being, the impact is tenfold.
well, I did. You know what? I like Negan. He's hilarious. Now, I think he's an asshole, but when he's walking away and he's like, I'll be there in a week. Ta-ta.
Yeah,
I love
you
that.
know
I was
what?
cracking
When
up.
you first started talking about Negan, I was like, well, how's he going to top the governor?
He
How's
topped
gonna
him in
do
one
something
episode, 2 episodes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the governor looks like a nice guy.
Well, I did like how everybody online, like, we waited 8 months, and you better give us some answers. Oh, shit, you killed Glenn and
shit.
Abraham? We don't want those answers. We don't want that.
You know, it's something I wanted to go look at is like, the season ends there, but I wonder if did they continue filming that scene
I don't know.
and then put it in the can and kept it under lock and key?
I don't know. They said, Rick...
Because it looked really good for continuity's sake.
It did. Rick said that they were... The guy who played Rick, Andrew Lincoln, said they were out there for 9 days straight playing that scene, those two
Okay.
episodes. So I don't know...
Did they record one where they kill everybody? So
They
no
did.
one
They did
know?
kill a lot of different people. They said, and I think you saw that in like Rick thinking that if he didn't
Yeah,
do
for
it,
a minute I was like, holy crap, Negan killed 2 people and then he whacks everybody else
Yeah.
for good measure? Holy crap.
I think
But
that's
no,
part
that
of
was
it.
Rick thinking about, he's going to die and he's going to die.
Yeah.
If I don't do this, he's going to die, and Rick cares about everybody, of course.
Yeah.
So that makes it even worse. And that goes back to his altruistic sheriff persona.
his protector.
Yeah.
Now I loved it. I thought it was a great way to start the season.
That was great. I love all the people that freak out and record themselves. I mean, why would you do that?
Well,
Record yourself crying into the camera. Go, why did you have to
Well,
do
did you
this?
see
I'm
Chris-
like, really? What? Why would you do that?
did you see Chris Hardwick?
No.
On Talking Dead? I saw the first 10 minutes, and my wife looked at me and she goes, he does realize that he didn't really kill them, right? Like, they're alive. And because Chris Hardwick's like, he comes back, he's like, we're going to get through this, guys.
get through this
It was a
together.
rough one. As soon as the first death happened, because they were doing a live episode outside, the heavens opened up and it rained here.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
it
he's
was
like,
on my recording. Yeah,
It's a rough one. We're going to get through this.
it was like.
And
the
my
heavens
wife
opened.
looked
I'm
at me
really?
like, my
Wow.
wife looked at me, she's like, he realizes that they're just actors, like they didn't really die, right?
He's also on the AMC payroll.
Oh, I
come
know.
on. You gotta hype it.
But come on, man.
Be a
It was
hype
like
man.
somebody died in real life. And, I get it was emotional, but I'm like, oh my God, people, they didn't really die. It's okay. It's just a character. I know you like the characters, but
Yeah.
Glenn, I was more upset Abraham died than Glenn. I'll be honest. I like Abraham.
Yeah. Now the writer, what's his name again?
Kirkman.
Kirkman did say that he was never happy with the way he killed Abraham off in the graphic novel.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of makes it a lot better, I
He
guess.
killed him off in the graphic novel the way that...
Was it arrow through the eye, wasn't it?
Yeah, that the vet or the nurse, she got it.
Yeah, she ate it
Yeah.
instead of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry if you didn't see Walking Dead yet. You're now caught up, so you don't have to watch it.
Spare yourself the emotional trauma.
Let's do some listener feedback.
And we're going to start off with this guy named Doug.
Number 1 fan, Doug.
Can't give yourself a nickname, except we did. He's Ape Haynes.
Ape Hands.
We gave him the nickname. He didn't give it to
That's
himself.
true.
We gave him Ape Hands,
Yes.
not Ape Hands.
Kind of like Ape Haynes.
Every time you say that, you're
Ape
like
hands?
Ape Hands. I'm like, what is Ape Hands?
It's a pan you use for
Ape
cooking.
Hands.
Oh.
Because Doug, when he's in the studio, I realized one day, he's got huge hands.
He's in the studio next week, and it is kind of frightening. I will say that.
All right, so he says, Clue, your favorite movie,
Great movie.
Great movie.
is
Great.
becoming a stage play, and he wants to know your thoughts, especially because of the Rocky Horror Picture Bomb. I guess he wants to ask your thoughts about this stage
My
play.
question is the stage play based off of the screenplay of the movie? Or are they writing a completely different thing based off of the game of Clue?
They played the game once, and they just based it off that.
Okay.
They just decided it was going to be Mr. Mustard with the lead pipe.
Colonel Mustard.
Mean Mr. Mustard. I'm thinking of the Beatles song. Sorry.
I'll never do that.
So, no, but I'm like, because I mean, the movie that they wrote could actually work on a play because they, pretty much filmed the movie and
You know what would be
as
cool?
a play.
If before you go in, the audience can choose ending 1 through 3 or 4.
That's
And
what I'm
whoever
gonna say,
picks,
different
whoever
ending.
wins, they change.
Whoever wins, that's how it ends.
I like that.
So you
idea.
don't know
Every time
how
you
it's
go
gonna
in, you'll
end.
see a different
Trademark that
ending.
shit. Trade it.
Trademark that shit.
TM.
TM. We got it. We got it. I like it. That's a clever.
But did you guys hear about the Rocky Horror Bomb? I guess everybody hated it. The live
guess.
thing on
I saw
Fox or
one
something?
person tweeted they liked it, and I'm trying to remember who that was.
I don't know.
The one person that is
Pam, I think Pam,
Pam.
our listener Pam, said she liked it, and she's the only person I saw said she liked it.
because that thing got a lot of hate.
It did.
Hate,
I
hate,
haven't
hate.
seen it. I do want to see it, so I'll look it up online or Hulu or wherever.
But you're
you find
remaking, or you're doing not remaking, but you know what I mean.
Ro-
You're
Rocky
doing this
Horror
play.
is an experience that
Yeah.
you
And
that's
you have
audience
such-
participation in a theater, and that's what makes it a lot of fun.
and you're doing a thing that people are passionate about.
Yeah.
Not me, but I
Yeah,
mean,
when you-
I've seen the stage play twice.
yeah.
And the first time it was just everybody sitting in their seats watching it as it went on. The next time I saw it, like it was the same production, but it was like the Sunday matinee, and that's when a bunch of people came dressed up and kind of acted out with the actors. So it was interesting to see it both ways.
I like I said, I think anytime you try to do something like that with a passionate fan base, you're not going to get a lot of love.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a lot of love. I was actually
Unless you do it Peter Jackson way. If they put Rocky Horror into like a 6-hour
trilogy.
trilogy,
Oh, Lord. Wow.
I know it's only 2 hours, but I think you can get 12 out of this. What? Wait, what? What? So
no. Anyway, so Clue stage
How about
play.
the Peter Jackson thing?
Yeah.
We were watching Saturday Night Live, and Tom Hanks was the host.
Yeah.
And he did. They did the debate, the presidential debate, and he was Chris Wallace. Tom Hanks was.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, we're here for the third debate, and just like a Peter Jackson film, you know you don't want to see it, but you've gone through the other movie, so now you have to." I thought of you guys immediately.
awesome.
You don't want to see it, but you have to.
You have to.
Same part is I still have yet to see
I know.
the
I
third
thought of you
Hobbit.
with that. And we'll say a quick thing. Tom Hanks is awesome on Saturday Night Live.
I heard
He is-
nothing but good things
he is
about the
hilarious.
episode,
We
but-
tape it every week, and you know what? Again, you're going to have good and bad episodes. But you know what? He is hilarious.
Yeah, he's one of those funny guys that starts out with the comedic roles.
Yeah.
Sophomore comedian, and then they go through this I want to be a serious actor thing for 20 years, and then he gets to go back to his comedic roots, and they kill it.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys.
His monologue was, I was voted America's dad, so he put a sweater on, and he's like, let's have a talk here, America. And he starts talking to America like a kid, like, you're getting older, I get it. You are changing. Let's talk about, your obsession with guns. Okay, I'm sorry, you don't want to talk about that, okay. You are a little bit gayer, though, than you were in the past. And then he starts going through this stuff, and that it was a pretty good episode. But anyways, back to Clue. I
Yes.
agree. Yes, go Clue. Let's do a Clue play. I'm
Yeah.
with it.
All right, thank you, Doug. Thanks for your question that brought up Rocky Horror and Tom Hanks and Peter Jackson.
We should have a bingo card. Every listener feedback. How many different tangents can we go on?
Oh my gosh! Now, next one is Kevin at Cincy Explorer.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Kevin. He says, "What's the most underrated movie of the '90s?"
This is a good one.
I got one.
What do you got?
I've talked about it before on my early days of the show.
Mm-hmm.
95, I think it was. Smoke.
Okay. Oh, you did talk about that. That was in your top 5, I think, once.
Yes, it was. And ironically, I went to go do some more checking up on it because of this. Kevin at Cincy Explorer making me work. 93% Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh.
It's also on the list of 100 movies you must see before you die.
Well, then is it really underrated?
Well, yeah, it is, because you guys don't know about it until I talked about it. But when you come
it's
up with great movies in the 90s, not a lot of people come up with this.
Maybe not underrated.
Dude,
I
with
mean,
Wayne
90
Wangs, it's got Harvey Keitel, it's got Mullen. I mean,
Is he naked?
no, no, he doesn't.
So it's not the piano.
No.
So it's not the piano. No,
Or the
seriously,
penis.
not a lot of people know this. It's a great,
Pianist, sorry.
it's a great film. Lots of great character writing, monologues. I used to do the monologue from this movie, the Harvey Keitel one, where he's talking about the story when he's a younger guy and he steals a camera from the blind lady. I
like
love
a
the movie
Ziggy
so
comic
much.
strip,
Oh
actually.
no, actually, it's really good. Smoke. Okay. I think it's one of the most underrated movies of the 90s because
So
you
Snoke.
think about Smoke,
Oh, sorry.
not Snoke.
Star Wars made a Snoke before it? Why is everybody questioning who it is? We
was-
just go back and watch Snoke.
It was Harvey Keitel.
If Snoke comes out with a naked Harvey Keitel, I'm out. I'm out of the series.
All the Siths are gonna be okay. It's just a Death Star. It's gonna be okay. Come on, Kylo. Say you're gonna be okay.
I would, sir, but could you put some clothes on? I wish I didn't kill my dad now. Jeff, what's your...
What's yours?
My pick is Gattaca.
Fuck you. I'm out.
For some reason, Jason hates this movie.
Nothing happened!
He threatened it. He threatened to
isn't
give
that-
it as a present, as a bad present.
Isn't that the one where they harvest people for organs?
No, that was
Oh.
Soylent Green.
No, it's a
That was the
different
island.
movie.
or
That was
something.
Island.
Oh, The Island.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was ScarJo.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, the island was terrible.
Gattaca. What the hell is Gattaca? It's got what's his name in it though.
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
Ethan
the
Hawke.
future, basically, the haves and have-nots, and the haves, they have these great jobs, and that's a mission to Mars, isn't it, or something like that?
yeah.
And basically, this guy that never had a chance, he switches places with the rich guy in that, and because the rich guy didn't want anything to do with society and that, so it's dumb. Anyways,
So it's basically you hate it, Jeff, because
No,
it's
I
not.
like it.
Oh,
Jeff
you
likes
like it because it's a Bernie Sanders kind of socialist utopia. Guy breaks out of the socialism.
Yeah,
and
sure.
there you go.
it's very Metropolis-like.
And
Or actually, it's a commentary about the evils of
I'm saying it because it's a
capitalism.
good. Jason, he's like, oh well, fourth place in our fantasy league is going to get a bad movie. How about Gattaca? I'm
Gattaca.
like, I like Gattaca.
like
If you want to
Gattaca.
give me Gattaca, go ahead.
I gave you Baps instead.
You're not trying to win. You're trying to go for fourth.
Jeff, the movie's only $10 at Walmart. Go get it.
Yeah. Then the next
It
year,
was $35 to get in the league.
the next year he's giving out the Human Centipede.
Yeah.
Oh god! So now you're like, I gotta lose this week in the playoffs. I'm benching everybody.
Human Centipede 3 came out, and it's in a prison.
Oh Lord.
Yes.
Oh god!
Let's see. My underrated.
Yours.
I hope he did.
This could have been a top 5 list.
It could have been.
Fire.
Do you want to do a top 5
No,
next week?
just stick with the one.
Oh, well, I don't know.
All right,
Small
well,
Soldiers.
Well, you hope.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Small Soldiers.
Yeah, I've seen
about
that.
the military little figures. I
Yeah.
love it.
I just saw
Phil
that
Hartman.
one.
Yeah.
Phil
I
Hartman.
told Jason that would be on his list. So
Can't Hardly Wait, the teenage movie. I thought that was very fun with Jennifer Love Hewitt.
That was a very good
It was
movie,
hilarious.
and it's got Jennifer Love Me Hewitt.
And Ethan Embry. I mean, whoo.
Yeah.
Go. That was about 5 different things that went on. Katie Holmes and a couple other people.
I can't remember that one.
They all connect at the end. Really good. 10 Things I Hate About You is my other one. Love 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yeah.
Heath
That's a
Ledger.
good one.
Yeah,
Is
that was a
underrated?
good one.
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
what
but
they,
yeah, is that underrated?
Okay, I'll take
because
that
everybody
off.
knows that
I'm
one.
just
It's pretty
asking. I don't
popular.
know.
I don't
As
think.
far as I know, most people I know like the movie. So.
Do the younger generation like it now? Is it known? I'm just asking. I don't know.
I don't know.
Millennials, look at you, couple spot. Millennials, let us know at Bad Ideas Podcast if you guys know what 10 things I hate about you. If you know what it is.
Or Smoke.
Snoke.
Or Gattaca. Here's your homework, millennials. Go watch 3 movies and then tweet Jason.
Don't watch Gattaca. Don't watch Gattaca.
See, underrated.
See? Yeah.
Oh, just crap. Go ahead.
So you're talking about a 97% rating. I mean, it's like, that sounds pretty good to me.
You can see Harvey Keitel's penis. What more do you want?
Not Harvey Keitel's penis.
I'm the pianist.
Harvey Keitel is not naked in smoke.
You know what? Your beard is really throwing me off, and your hat, you kind of look like you should be in a truck stop right now. I'm kind of freaking out every time I
I'm
look
waiting
at
to pick up a bat wrapped in barbed wire.
He does kind of look like Negan. He does kind of look like
Negan
him.
look?
You do.
You know, I didn't bring my leather jacket.
You made me miss the Indians. I should have gone with Dr. Bednar.
That's right.
Anyways, moving on. Nickel.
Nickel in Edmonton, Canada. He says, if you were Negan, whose head would you have collapsed?
My answer? Sidney
James.
Crosby.
Oh, what? Sidney Crosby.
Sidney Crosby. I wouldn't have drafted him for my team because there's much better younger talent out there. Connor McDavid. So
I feel like with Sidney Crosby, life is crushing his head, so I don't think you need to help it
it
along.
also would be easy though too. You know,
It would be. It's like mush.
Yeah,
So how many concussions has the poor guy had?
at least 4 major.
Really?
Well,
he
diagnosed.
may have to. Yeah, that's the ones that he admits to.
Yeah.
You could probably crush his skull in with one of those yellow wiffle ball bats right now. It probably would be just the same.
Probably. Well, concussions aren't funny, man. That's just,
No,
I've had 3 major ones and they suck.
Yeah.
I wake up every day with neck pain. It sucks. Neck and head aches.
Well, you probably shouldn't, sleep on your head that way.
Well, I do sleep upside down. I'm a bat.
So I read this question to be as in who in The Walking Dead's head would you
I think
crush?
that's what he meant.
Apparently,
Well,
apparently Jeffrey's still bitter about something.
Surprised he didn't say us. Don't turn your back
Well,
on.
we know he'd crush our heads without a thought. We learned about that last week.
Is that salami? Yeah, I'll crush his head. Come here. Could you get some extras? Because I like sharing with Chris Christie over there. My buddy. My lover.
Need some chili? I'll crush his head.
Hell,
chili?
you got a piece of Pez, I'll do it there. That's fine.
Pez? 20 pounds?
20 pence.
Whose head would I have collapsed? I don't know. I think they did it right. I would have stayed true to the script. I would have had at least done Glenn, of course.
I would have done Glenn, and I probably would have done Rick just to throw everyone off. I'm serious. Like, I think that would have been a nice little turn.
Wasn't he complaining about not doing the show anymore?
Yes.
kind of wanted out of it. I would have given, fine, you can leave.
And you make Michonne as the new leader. I like her.
No,
I like her
Carl
better.
will be the new leader.
Carl.
Don't you inherit the leadership role? Isn't that how
He's
it
going to be a
works?
serial killer. It's fine.
You
That
know,
kid is
I
nothing
don't
but a
know.
serial killer.
It's whoever the strange lady in the lake gives a sword to.
Oh.
with a snake tattoo.
Yeah.
Can we talk about her?
Or the man in black. Oh, yeah. You like dirty blondes.
Yeah, I do like her.
Yeah.
I was like, hello, nudity.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was pretty gratuitous.
Yes, it was. I'm just standing here in the water.
Standing here in the water, this kick-ass tattoo around my body.
Anyways, moving on.
Moving on. Next, we have regarding listener feedback of attractive people. Hobbit Hulk. It's Hobbit-Hulk. CF at Pink Olifant.
Otherwise known as Nikki.
From New Zealand.
There you
Good
go.
day.
She says, listener feedback as requested, because we noticed that we were getting a lot of guys talking about this. She said, women's, come help us out. Or,
Attractive people 20 years older than
anybody
us.
attractive, doesn't matter, sex, preference. She says, guys who are 20 years older than her. Now she gives away her age. Now we know how old she is. She said, Colin Firth
I think she meant 20 years or older is what she meant.
or older.
Yes.
Because Colin Firth and Sean Connery are not the same
Colin
age.
Firth.
I can see Colin Firth. He's British. British or turn.
Hey, what do
British
you know?
or sexy.
Sean Connery's next on this list.
Oh,
Good day, mate.
I
Sean
can see that he's
Connery's
Scottish.
next.
Everybody knows those Scots are
Yeah,
hot.
but he'll hit you.
Yeah. And then she throws in Stanley Tucci.
I like Stanley Tucci. He's smart. I like
I'm kind of attracted to Stanley Tucci
that. Yeah,
myself.
he makes good roles.
He does.
Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
That dome he's got.
Yeah.
Sexy.
Not the only head you'll be rubbing.
Yeah.
Anyways, Colin Firth, he's British, and everybody knows that people that are British are sexy.
They just got that British accent that does it.
Good day, mate.
Yeah, even if
dang it.
they are, you're brilliant.
Yeah. Hello, wankers.
Jolly good.
Yes.
Cunt.
Oh, what did you just say?
Hunt. He said hunt.
Oh, okay.
Let's go on a fox hunt.
Oh,
Let's go.
that's what you said. Oh,
Let's go.
Yes, okay. So next we got Kevin. He's a wanker at 365 Flicks.
Hello, Governor.
He said, is Carson Daly still on television? If so, why?
He's on The Voice, right, Jeff?
Yeah, I think he's the host of The Voice, so yes, he's still on television.
Why is he still on television?
Why?
Because they need somebody who is relatively easy on the eyes to host.
We're
so
available.
Why not Carson Daly?
You, me, and Negan over here are available.
You know, it's great what you can do with CGI nowadays.
It is.
That's true. They should just CGI him out of there.
If they make Anthony Hopkins look young on Westworld, they can make us look attractive. I feel like that's possible.
You feel it's possible?
Feel like that. I
It's
feel I could get my
possible.
singing out there if I could do it as a host.
Yeah, I don't think they'd let you sing as a host.
Let it go.
Really, that's the song you choose.
Oh God, yeah, of course.
There you
It
go.
makes me feel so free. I build ice castles.
There you go.
Cold
but
doesn't bother me anyway.
yeah, Kevin's got a two-parter, and then he says, "Oh, by the way, top 5 pump-up songs."
Songs that kick ass from last week, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks
I
ago.
think
2
it
weeks
was.
ago.
Yeah, pump-up songs. Let's see how square can I sound when I read these. Number 5, Busta Rhymes with "Touch It" remix.
Okay, first off, you're Kermit the Frog.
Number 4, Ludacris, "Move, Bitch, Roll Out."
Time out. When did Kermit the Frog become a DJ?
Yes, this is my square.
Oh.
Public Enemy, "Harder Than You Think."
Ooh.
Number 2, Dilate Peoples, "This Way."
I don't know that.
That must be a British thing because I don't know them.
And number 1, Eminem, Way I Am.
Way I am.
Way I am.
Way I
Sam
Am.
I am? Is that
I
what
like
you
the
think?
number
Like
one.
Sam I am?
Nice pick, Kev. That's why we're buddies, Kev. That's why we're good. Chris,
He's not a wanker. He's just a
anytime
cheeky
you want to leave
monkey.
Chris to come to Hobie, let us know. That's why we like you. What are you doing on the rotating bed there, Nick?
Ooh, the next one is from Nick. Oh. Right.
Lay me down.
If Jeff could go back in time and make out with anyone,
Oh, anyone.
who would it be?
Ooh, Mary Lincoln. You're so naughty.
Mary Lincoln?
Here's my Lincoln log, Mary. Come on over.
Get lost in my beard.
I shall set you free. Oh, yeah. From that girdle.
So that's your pick, Mary Lincoln?
Yeah, who the hell's Mary Lincoln? I just had to roll with it. Are we talking about Abraham Lincoln's wife?
Yeah, Mary Todd, right?
Yeah, Mary Todd Lincoln.
Mary Todd.
Is there another tip? That's what I was trying to do the references, and I was waiting for your Gettysburg Address joke, but never mind.
Maybe we choreograph this stuff out first.
Damn, here, personally, I was voting for Eve because I want all of humanity to spring from my loins.
Oh, we're fucked. So Jeff is too lazy to get out of bed, so Eve won't find him. So it's just going to end at that. And Jeff will be like, the snake will come up to Jeff, take an apple. Yomp. Nom, 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 nom. What's going on? I didn't even ask you. Oh, apple? Fuck that. No, you got salami? You got,
It's like,
you got
Kill
bacon?
the snake and grill that motherfucker up.
Well, technically, God, I didn't have original sin. I didn't eat the apple. I ate the snake. Well, you got a point there, Jeffrey. Here's your massive beard. Good for you.
and instead of an oak leaf, here's a palm frond.
Long and thin.
And it welts in the sun. Eve, you can learn something from this man. Give me that rib back.
Rib? Someone say ribs?
McRib.
And thus, that's how we got the McRib.
That's
from
right.
McDonald's.
What else we got?
Next, pop culture podcast at TPC Cafe.
Good
It says, okay, guys, have you ever played a game and part of the game you thought you hated became your favorite part? His example is Fallout 4 Settlements.
Okay.
Now, obviously, he may have forgotten about my rants about Fallout 4 Farmville.
Or maybe he didn't forget and was calling you out.
He
Saying,
just wanted to tick me off again and get me on a Farmville rant. Fallout Farmville.
Did you raise corn yet?
Oh, God. You know, that was so annoying. That was the most annoying part of Fallout. It was the damn settlement shit that went on all the time.
but you know, the best part about Farmville was when you got to go kill all the invaders.
I missed that Farmville
Oh,
version.
you didn't play that?
No, I missed that. I might go back and play now.
Yeah.
I think, let's see. I feel like in the Red Dead Redemption,
Yeah.
I really got I was kind of annoyed by some of the go look for this bandit because, you know, it's just an easy thing.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it, though, towards the end. Like, I started getting into it, like, okay, now I want to go find this guy. I want to go kill him.
Well, you mentioned that. I'm going back one generation early on Red Dead Revolver, where they had the multiplayer stuff.
Yes.
It's like, normally I like the games where you follow the storyline and whatnot. But then they had the multiplayer where you just ran around shooting people, which normally I don't like. But for some reason, I was good at it in that game.
You were. I think it's because we only had 6 bullets.
Yeah, that could be it.
That could be the reason. Well, he's out.
I mean, like, yeah, Halo, I like take 3 steps and I'm dead.
Well, that's
Or-
because you're throwing a grenade in a corner that you're standing
I don't
in.
even find a grenade. How can I throw one?
Oh, it's a sticky grenade. I guess I should move. That require moving. I don't like moving. Boom! We don't need a soliloquy every time there, Jeff. Just move.
I'm like, okay, and I'm gonna bam, my head's dead. Oh yeah, you just blew me up. Okay, well then I respawn and now I'm dead again.
Oh, you respawned. I just fell off. I just died. I fell off.
And in the meantime, some 10-year-old's joking about you and your mother every time he kills you. Dirty little bastards.
That's why you always tell them they're adopted.
That's right.
Let's see.
And then finally, from Professor Number One at Doctor Number One, is it Iron Fist or Iron Fist?
I have a speech impediment.
Like, is it ape hands or ape hands?
I have no defense.
Is it wash or wash?
Wash, thank you very much. I don't see why you're messing it up. Thank you very much. Either way.
Iron Man or Iron Man?
This is why you can't come on the show, Dr. Number One. You have to sit outside, Professor Number One.
It's time for another installment of the news of the geek.
Okay. Special news of the geek this week. Talked about it earlier. Ken Johnson from Dead Men Inc. He has a new Kickstarter comic book, Corpse Corp, which we will put up on our Facebook page at The History of Bad Ideas. So you can check that out. And he's the one that wrote The Man Who Watched Batman. He has 2 volumes out of that on Amazon. And he is friends with Snake Oil and Travis McIntyre, which we love Travis. He is friends with Dev. Not everyone can be a winner. But you know what? We do love Dev. So, but yeah, this is on a little interview with Ken, and enjoy. With us by Skype is comic book overlord, director of Dead Man Inc. and Dead Men Inc., I should say, right?
Yes,
Okay, Ken Johnson. And Ken, welcome to the show.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're happy to have you here. We figured after you were slumming it on Snake Oil, you kind of want to see how a real podcast does it.
God. I mean, I knew I was in for disaster the second I started, like, trying to play Sweden between you guys.
No, it's great to have you on because we've been going back and forth trying to get you on by about 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's I have a hard job to get time off for, so it can be difficult to get on podcasts. So I've been, like, during a Kickstarter month, I mean, I swear, like, my boss is getting an email from me, like, every other day being like, all right, if I could switch these 2 shifts and then move that to there, and, like, drives him crazy.
Yeah, and you're on because we'll get to your Kickstarter here in a second. We'll tease it. And I know I'm going to fuck it up because I fucked it up the couple episodes ago. It's Corpse Core, correct?
Yes, Corpse Corp, either pronunciation's fine.
Look at that. I have a speech impediment. I still got it.
Yeah, your speech impediment.
It's a fancy play on words. Corpse core. It could be corpse corpse.
It could be.
Could
but
be.
it's not.
No, it's Corps, it's a Marine Corps.
But your Kickstarter, it goes through Halloween, correct?
Yes, we go through Halloween and we end on November 7th.
Okay.
So we got Halloween and a little bit of leeway time there.
Great. Okay.
Towards the end. But obviously the horror podcast the horror Kickstarters always try to put them around the Halloween season because they seem to buzz a little bit better around then.
All right, now as you've already seen, we're really good at teasing things about the Kickstarter, but now we've talked about it for a couple minutes. Why don't you just tell us what the Kickstarter is about?
Okay, so the Kickstarter is for my main comic project I've been working on for a ways now, called Corpse Corp or Corpse Corporation, which is a high concept homage to the slasher movies of the 80s and 90s. And what it tries to do is kind of do a little bit of what the 90s did with series like Scream, or eventually they did with things like Cabin in the Woods, where it's this idea of something that can make fun of horror movies, can, pay homage to horror movies, but it's still at its core a horror movie. So what we did is we kind of took a little bit of Cabin in the Woods, and we took the idea of having a planned reason why this horror movie stuff happens, being a company behind it. But in our version, the idea is that this Corpse Corporation company is actually not only sending out their own killers to kill all of these stupid teenagers, but they're filming the entire thing on hidden cameras, editing the footage back together, and then selling it out back to other stupid teenagers. And then the endless cycle continues.
So they're making a reality show of killing teenagers.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
It's like when you go into theaters and watch, it's Friday the 13th Part 3. It's like, it's actually like just recorded footage of other teenagers in the woods who, all got killed, and, the audience never knows the difference.
Okay, so the audience doesn't know that it's real.
No, by no means, no.
Okay.
It's all completely underground.
Okay. And you mentioned Cabin in the Woods, which is one of my favorite horror movies of the last 10 years. I love that. Well, I guess it's been 15 now, isn't it? Give or take.
Right.
Yeah. I love that idea. So, do you have a lot of different horror movie monsters in it? Or is it like a slasher, or like a Jason Voorhees type guy?
Kind of. But basically what we wanted to do with it is the thing is split into 4 issues. And the first issue, it follows the actual Corpse Corporation company. Mm-hmm. Where we get to meet the new guy who our story follows, which is this younger guy in the company named Jack, who, seeing as, the Corpse Corporation company is falling more towards this sort of more like clean-cut Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch kind of thing, wants to bring everything back to like their old bloody 80s roots. Mm-hmm. And so what he does is they assign him this assignment to do the traditional, camp counselors out in the woods kind of bit. But what he wants to do, which we had some fun with, is wanting to do something that would drift a little bit farther away from the traditional, like, giant hulking, like, slow-walking, silent Jason monster kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And see if we could do something that was just radically different, but still could be really scary. So what we came up with was this idea of a villain called the Swing Time Slasher, who is kind of like this amalgamation of, like, Beetlejuice and The Mask. And so instead, he's like this 6-foot-tall, lanky guy wearing an orange-black pinstriped zoot suit and an 8-ball cane, and like this weird, like, white, almost Screamish kind of mask that changes with his emotions. And instead of, like, slowly sneaking up on people, he, like, announces all of his entrances with, like, lots of flair and tries to do, like, all of his kills in the most, like, theatrical, over-the-top way. Just in a way, like, almost the complete antithesis of what you expect out of, like, your traditional, like, Jason-style character. But that's what we have so much fun with about, is because he, in the same way that, like, Freddy can call out cliches and stuff like that in, like, the later, more self-aware Elm Street movies, we kind of get a little bit of that feel to it, where the Swing Time Slasher, calls out and uses a lot of, like, these major horror movie cliches to his advantage, and that becomes, such a hilarious way to change up the traditional slasher formula, which is, the idea of changing up that formula in general in order to throw off the audience is, like, at the core of the project. So that's what we really liked about having that character be the focus.
So it's kind of like Jim Carrey if he was a serial killer.
Absolutely, which interesting about that is that originally, before Carrey was involved, when the studio picked up The Mask as a movie, they wanted it to be a horror franchise.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted it basically to be their Freddy Krueger, is the movie they compared it to. And while the comic is darker than the movie we ended up with, it was still not anything you'd probably consider in the horror genre per se. But the problem is it went through like script after script after script, and it never worked. The director quit, and then after the movie was about to tank, they brought the director back on and told him he could do it his way, and that's how we ended up with the Jim Carrey comedy.
But then the sequel was a scary movie because Jamie Kennedy was in it, right?
Well, yes, but we don't talk about Son of the Mask.
The sequel is one of the worst movies ever, according to some recent poll I saw.
There's only one sequel I could think of that is actually worse than Son of the Mask.
Batman and Robin.
Worse than that, by a long shot. Not many people even remember this movie exists. The Neverending Story 3, Escape from Fantasia.
They made a third one?
They made a third one, and Jack Black is in it.
Oh.
Well, that's gotta be good.
No, stop it. No. He's up there with Kevin James.
I don't even know where to start with that movie, because like the name of the villain in the movie is a gang of bullies called the Nasty. Led by, Jack Black looking, even at that age, too old to be in high school.
Was this a theatrical film?
Oh, it was, and it made, like, no money.
Now I'm intrigued.
Like, none whatsoever. The only reason I think it got made is because they recasted Bastion with the kid who played the main guy in Free Willy.
Oh, God.
I think that's the only reason they got the money to make it.
I wonder if it came out in the 90s, because later on, we have a topic that we're all going to, that we were talking about, most underrated films of the 90s, and I think I might put that in there now.
It's a dumpster fire, but it is like one of the most fun dumpster fires you'll ever watch.
Well, I feel like when they said with The Mask 2, you know what, Jim Carrey has a personality and is funny. Who can we get that's just the opposite of that, and that people hate? Let's do Jamie Kennedy.
Right. Like, there's nothing sadder than listening to the director's commentary on The Mask and listening to him talk about the fact that there's going to be a sequel, but not knowing yet he's about to get fired. Like, I'm like, oh, man, poor guy. Like,
well, at least Jamie Kennedy was good in Scream.
Fair enough.
Not Scream 3.
Oh. I thought you were going to say he was good in, was that one?
Malibu's Most Wanted?
Malibu's Most Wanted. Yeah, he's good in that.
Yeah. We're trying to help Ken sell books. Let's not talk about Jamie Kennedy.
Okay.
Let's get back to his Kickstarter. So if I want to go and give you money for your Kickstarter, like what are some of the great things you got lined up for people that are going to give you money?
Well, what some of the earlier ones we have on board is that we have a couple of some of the simpler rewards, getting your copies of the comic and that kind of thing. But also the things we did at the higher levels was in the first version of the comic, we included a Get Yourself Killed in the Comic reward. Which there's a particular panel in it where because Jack, our main character, has attention deficit disorder, he zones out during a particular sequence and starts imagining all of these different horror kills. And then they're all like homages to like different Friday the 13th movies and so on and so forth. Yeah. And so we've got people from the first campaign who are like in that. So the second one...
So it's awesome. So your likeness will be in an actual comic book getting off by your main character.
Yeah, so what we're doing for the second book, because we only have so many people we can kill, is we're releasing a special variant cover... We're releasing a special variant cover for everything over $50 where every single person that contributes, or anyone from the first campaign who contributes to the second one, will get involved in this giant, like, macabre, like, bloody massacre version of the cover that we're going to do. Where, like, the Swing Time Slash will be standing on top of everybody and, like, this giant pile of, like, just, disarrayed corpses everywhere.
So a pile of bodies of your funders. Huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it would be a very sick take off of the Beatles Sgt. Pepper's album. Where it'd be all the funded people, with their images on the cover.
Yeah, well, we realized from our first campaign that a lot of the interactive rewards sold really well. So I wanted to get a lot of that stuff to be more involved and that kind of thing. And one of the things that we might be adding to the campaign later on towards the last 2 weeks or so is around the mid-tier level. I might be adding a different form of involvement in the comic, either like there'll be a list somewhere in the movie of like the different horror movies that they've created before. So we might give people like the opportunity to, like come up with a horror movie name of their own to, kind of be, lingering around the company or, stuff that's in production or that kind of thing. So there, so keep a lookout for that kind of stuff in there where you'll have the opportunity to, kind of put a little bit of your imprint into the comic itself. But on top of that, for those who are interested in also getting involved in my other work, the Man Who Watched Batman series, there's a lot of rewards that will allow you to get copies of that stuff along with your Corpse Corp stuff.
And I want to talk to you about that in a second, to the Batman. So if I fund it, can I be Dr. Giggles? I really love that horror movie from the 80s.
Larry Drake.
I don't necessarily see why not. I had a friend of mine I was talking to the other night who said he was going to donate the 75 level to get involved in the alternate cover. Mm-hmm. But he said that specifically, like, I only have one request. I want to make sure that I'm actually not only dead, but drawn and quartered on the front cover.
Oh.
And I said, I don't see any particular reason why not, so go ahead.
So he'll be on 4 different parts of the cover then.
Right, there's a piece of him over there, a piece over there, a piece
There's
over
an
there.
arm.
I want to be keyholed. Can I do that? Is that what it's called?
Keel hauling?
Yeah, under the
Keel
ship.
haul, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a little difficult to fit on a pile of dead people
I
if you had a
agree.
giant ship.
Yeah, there's some of the fun we have too is that like with some of the cameos, I know that the other way we're doing them. There's some of them that were to get in the comic, and there's some of them to just be to have your likeness in general. Because there's a joke they make in the first issue around the company that the whole thing kind of works in kind of like a high school lunchroom kind of economy. So like the nerd table is like the old school slasher guys. And so like there's a scene of a lot of them and they're literally like sitting around like nerds, but they're all doing like old school horror things. Like, so I can't remember which of the Snake Oil guys I think is actually playing this guy, but there's one of them who's literally sitting there like a dude trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, but it's actually like the Hell Cube from Hellraiser.
I could see that being Travis.
There's another one where it's like there's a guy like Skyping on his iPad or whatever, but it's a guy in a Saw mask.
That's Dev. I could see that, Dev.
Yeah, I was going to ask if are there any Easter eggs of any big naked Devon fathers hidden in your panels?
Not that I know of, but I have.
Have you ever driven
Unfortunately, what you're
Big
talking
Dev?
about.
Have you ever drew Big
Dev?
Dev naked?
No.
Because apparently that's a thing with him. He makes a lot of artists draw naked pictures of him and weird things.
I've seen one of them, like some weird like Star Wars variant he wanted, and I'm like, no thanks.
Well, it's actually on his business card. We got one.
Oh, jeez.
If that doesn't want to make somebody do an interview with him, I don't know what will. Because you're in the Michigan area, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
The Michigan area. I just want to... Yeah, it's kind of a big area.
The area of the
Right.
entire state, yeah.
Hey, you're up there by that Canada area, right?
Right. Over the Earth District.
So, are you, growing up, were you big into comic books?
Mostly I got into it through my dad. My dad had a giant comic book collection growing up. And although I didn't get around to reading much of it until later, it was always kind of around in what we watched anyway, because I mean, growing up in the 90s, it's about the time where, especially for cartoons, where rerun culture became like a big thing. Mm-hmm. So like there was a lot of what I was growing up on was actually syndicated 80s stuff, but as a kid, you don't know any difference. So like I'd wait so it'd be so hilarious looking back and I'd be like, oh wait, I can't wait till next week to watch the new Thundercats episode. It's like even when anime came to the United States, we were like, "All right, it's this new show called Dragon Ball Z," and it's technically like 20 years old at this point. But none of us know the difference, you know.
Jeff used to work at the movie theater, and we would preview movies. And what was it, Pokemon?
Yeah. Or Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yu-Gi-Oh! It was Yu-Gi-Oh! And we thought, oh, it's new to the States, you know, new theatrical film. And then we get to the end credits, and it was made like, what, 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that, for sure, yeah. Because it was not in canon, so they could just air it whenever.
Yeah.
And they just never thought that it'd be big enough. And because it used to be, there wasn't many of them that made it to theaters. I mean, Pokemon at least got 3 fully into theaters, and like the 4th one was like selective.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think Yu-Gi-Oh was one of the only other ones that even tried theatrical release.
Oh, and they shouldn't have.
Only because it was another card game one. So like, it was easy for them to be like, hey, like exclusive card you get if you go to the theaters. You know, because that was like the big thing with Pokemon is, you know, you got a special card if you saw it in theaters, but...
Yu-Gi-Oh! The GoBots of Pokemon.
Yeah.
That's a Pokemon.
Oh. So went to preview that Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie. I'm like, I've seen Pokemon. It can't be any worse than Pokemon. Oh, it was so much worse.
You never into Pokemon?
No, I was never into Pokemon.
Oh,
I'm too old for that.
Ken, were you into Pokemon?
Oh, I was quite a bit. I still remember back then, like, this is back when, like, Pokemon was, like, so huge they had to start, like, banning it from schools, because, like, we're just, like, there's a point where, like, kids were literally, even in middle school, there were kids gambling with Pokemon cards to the extent that they had to intervene. Like, even the memorabilia got so bad, they were just, I had one day my principal just walked out, I was like, all right, no Pokemon anything. If it's not a t-shirt, it's banned.
Yeah, but really, what threat is that to education?
It's actually educational.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
seriously, what threat is it to actually disrupting school? I mean, were you doing this in the middle of class?
Some people were. I wasn't, but some people...
That's a disciplinary issue. Other than that, play, have fun.
They're on the back alleys doing dice with Pokemon cards as collateral.
You know, when I was in 6th grade, we played D&D during lunch.
And look how it turned out for you.
Yeah, you know, that was controversial. Ooh,
it's the devils and witchcraft. And...
And I'm just a little bit younger than you, Ken, so I actually didn't have Pokemon growing up. We had Pogs, which is always a horrible thing.
Pogs.
And then we had Hacky Sack.
I still don't understand how Pogs are played.
I don't think anybody knows how Pogs are played.
Like, the only reason I really even know how they are is because Jim Sterling from YouTube is, like, last year, like, his big thing was, like, getting back into Pogs. And he, like, collected, like, a ton of them and kept showing them all over the place. And now this year it's Boglins. It's, like, the big thing that he's, like, collecting all of. And now Boglins are making a comeback at, like, New York Comic Con and whatever.
What are Boglings?
Boglins are, like...
Yeah, what is this strange Michigan
little...
thing you're speaking of?
It's, they were, like, these little, like, almost, like, mud monster creatures. Like, they work like little, like, rubber puppets.
Okay.
Like, kind of in, like, the Garbage Pail Kids kind of aesthetic, but, you know... They were more just like little, you know, greepy ghoulies that you could like put your hand in and just, you know, make puppets out of them or whatever. Wow. But like I said, I never heard of him until he brought them up, and now he's going crazy about them. So
all right,
Jeff's now looking them up.
Sounds like a personal problem. Okay,
Blake, do you want to do your famous guest word association? Do you have enough words written down for Ken?
No, actually, Ken, I have to apologize. I didn't write any words down for you because I wanted to hear you spew just your wisdom of being a comic book creator.
Oh, I've seen Boglins before. I didn't remember that's what they were called, but...
Right.
Oh, God, those are awful.
All right, Ken, but let's get seriously. Okay, so you got into comic books because your dad had a comic book collection, right?
Yeah.
Where was his Playboy collection that you got into?
In the woods.
Out of my reach, apparently.
Okay.
Never found it.
Well, shame on your dad for not giving you the opportunity to break into the Playboy.
Like
That's why you're into comics.
He's going to call his dad up when the interview's over. He goes, where did you hide your Playboys?
Why did you hide your Playboys?
It's like a scene from American Pie 1. It's like, no, you see, son, this is the, that would be the nipple area.
Actually, it's a great deflection tactic because he's got probably a really sick pornographic collection somewhere. He's like, I'll just put this comic book thing out there and he'll get into that. And I'll keep the really sick shit to myself.
Well, he is in Michigan. They have a lot of wooded areas. Trust me, lots of Playboy in the wooded areas.
That's
From
right.
everybody.
We've had discussions about this in the past
Yes.
where we're
Like,
at the age where if you were in the woods and you came across,
in it.
Playboys in the woods, there's a reason for that,
Right.
No, but on a more serious note, Ken. All right, so your dad had a comic book collection. That's how you got into it, and etc. At what point in time, growing up, where you actually sat there and thought, everybody's like, yeah, I'd like to do this, but when was the moment where you had your moment of spark of creativity? That instead of just thinking about doing it, you actually realized that you could do it, and how'd you get started on that?
I think the main thing that contributed to it was that, because I was in film school before this happened, and I got into film school because I just knew I wanted to do something creative, but didn't know what. And I kind of bumped into it, on happenstance, and I went through the whole thing. I did more films by myself, like on my own free time, than anybody else in my class, because I just wanted to learn by just making as many movies as possible. But even when I was done, I realized that despite how much I learned about storytelling and learned about all these different things to make stories in general, I wasn't for sure if I wanted to do movies. Mainly because of how expensive they were and how much I hated producing work. I was so horrible at it. Anything involving like the money and the planning and all that kind of stuff, I couldn't stand it. But I like to write and I like to, lead stories in a direction. So ways after that, recently after I had lost a job, I came up with the idea of doing the Man Who Watched Batman series. Originally, it was just going to be a vlogs, like a blog series I had online, where this is an own personal goal to feel like I could accomplish a creative thing. I was going to watch all the way through the entirety of the 90s Batman the Animated Series from beginning to end and like just write down my detailed thoughts about it all the way through and like put whatever kind of, film school mumbo jumbo in there that, showing like using it as an example of like what I learned and that kind of thing. And what had happened is I got about 8 episodes in and I started realizing how long these things were getting. And I started realizing that like, okay, so I've got, about 28 episodes of this in a season, and each of them takes like 8 to 12 pages to finish. And I like started doing the math and all that. And I'm like, I'm going to have like a book amount of stuff when I'm done with this. So it became an idea of actually getting around to making it as a book. So I started looking into self-publishing, doing that whole thing. And several months later, made the book, finished it, released it, did all right, but I still was like kind of, occasionally go around conventions and do whatever. So how I got into comics, on a last minute whim for another project, so like, and it still to this day weirds me out, like how I almost missed going to this one con that like changed everything. Is I started walking around the convention, and just in case anyone wanted to like not kind of know what I did, I had my con bag and I had 3 copies of my book in my bag with me, just carrying around in case anyone wanted to look at it. And I bumped into Travis before I knew who he was.
Travis who?
McIntyre.
From Snake Oil Comics and
Yes.
Okay.
Source.
Travis from Snake Oil
yes,
Comics.
and Source, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I bumped into him before I knew, but I didn't know anything about him. I didn't even know he was running a table. Just, kind of told me very briefly, like, oh, it was probably a guy who knew comics. So I showed it to him, and it was one of the last couple I had left. And he asked him how much they were. I'm like, well, I'm just kind of getting rid of these last couple. I'll probably get rid of them for like $5. And he goes, okay, I'll take one. And so he buys one. And so I ask him, so are you tabling at this con? It's like, yeah, I'm tabling. He's like, which one is your table? And he points over to the Michigan Comics Collective area, and there's this row of like 8 tables down the way. He's like, oh yeah, these are like all mine, essentially.
We saw him at the Comic Expo a couple weeks ago, and yeah, his area is massive.
So I was like blown away at the idea that like, this, guy who runs like this comics collective who like really knows all his shit was, interested in what I was writing. And then he, from there, gave his copy to one of the other major Source Point guys. And he started looking through it. And Travis asked me for another book because the other guy wanted to buy the copy that he gave him. So I had to get Travis another book, sign both of them. And, so they were all set. And I had one left on me. And later on,
when you say Source Point, you meant Source Point Press, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I had one left, and as I was kind of going around thinking about how I was going to do things, he suggested on a whim that I introduce myself to Dirk Manning. And so I talked to him for a little bit. I bought his Right or Wrong book towards the end, and then, so we started talking. We've become like really good friends since. But on a whim, at the last minute, I am like, you know what? I still have one extra book left. If you would like it, you can have it. I'm still new at this whole like pro writing thing. So if you get around to reading it as busy as you are, by all means, and he said, sure. He said he'd take a look at it. And sure enough, about a month later, I end up at another Comic-Con for a gig, and we're basically table mates without realizing it. Like, he was just sitting right there. I don't even know. So I introduced myself, but didn't mention anything about the book, because I figured if he doesn't like it, he won't want to talk about it. And, and I'll just be, then everything will just be fine. But if he does like it, he'll probably make the effort to walk over here, and tell me he enjoyed it. And what surprised me is that he did. And he walked over and said he really liked it. And then eventually later at the con agreed to write the foreword for the book, which is quoted on the front. And Travis told me he really liked it and is really interested to see where it would go from there. And the moment I realized I could make it in comics was the moment I sat down at my table and I thought to myself, neither of these guys have any motivation to lie to me.
Yeah.
Neither of these guys know me, at this point, really know me personally, who would have any investment in not wanting to hurt my feelings or, anything like that if my stuff was just shit. So if these guys were telling me that my stuff is good and that I should make more of it, I probably should listen to them because apparently they know what they're doing.
And Travis is one of the nicest guys with the comic book industry. He will help anybody if he likes you with your creativity or anything, because he loves just the art and the writing of comics and that genre so much that he'll help anybody with it. If he likes you and you have talent in that, he will help you do it. And I've never, he's one of the nicest guys I've met in the comic industry.
Oh, absolutely. He's been very supportive of me the whole way through, and he's always given me advice on where to go with different projects, or he's always been the most interested person. Lately he's been talking to me about potentially starting looking for publishers in general for the ongoingness of the the Man Who Watched series, because I still even after finishing the fourth book, which is also gonna cover all the bonus stuff I didn't even get to yet. I still have to go through Batman Beyond and Justice League and Static Shock and so many other shows.
Are you going to do Superman?
I am gonna do Superman the Animated Series. I still am figuring out how exactly. I want to watch enough of the show to really feel like if I can get the absolute most content out of all 3 seasons, or if I'm gonna kind of do a best of book where I take really good chosen episodes out of the 3-season run and do a book that way.
Now, I got a couple questions before I let you go here on this about Batman, because I'm a huge Batman animated series fan. Love it.
Absolutely.
Well, I think anybody grew up in the late 80s, 90s, and loves comics loves it. What's your favorite episode? Which one?
My favorite episode has always been The Man Who Killed Batman.
Okay.
The reason I've always liked this one, not only that, and the reason I named the book after it, essentially, was this idea of them coming up with a fun way to change the format, where it followed this idea where everyone assumes that Batman is dead, so it becomes more of almost like an Elseworlds kind of episode. And the way they play off the idea of Sid the Squid and pull twist after twist out of the idea was really cool. I kind of wish they would have done it as a 2-parter so we could see other villains' perspectives of what happens to Gotham if Batman's dead, but also not only was Sid so amazing in it, but Mark Hamill's performance in that episode is probably the best he did in the entire series. How invested he is and seeing the stages of him actually realizing that Batman's not coming back. And eventually leading to that amazing, funeral speech and, them lowering the body into the casket while Harley Quinn plays Amazing Grace on the kazoo. And, all of that, it just creates, this incredibly dark but hilarious episode. And the way it's assembled is so amazing. I always refer to it as like the Casablanca of Batman episodes, because the editing in that episode is so good that there's not a single 10 seconds you could take out of that entire episode and have it still feel the same.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just so jam-packed with content.
Probably one of my favorite episodes. That one, the one you just mentioned, is awesome. I do love that one. My other one is when Bruce Wayne, he's in kind of an Elseworld, and his Mad Hatter has his device on him, and his parents didn't die. He's in the clock tower at the end, basically having a nervous breakdown.
Yeah, Perchance to Dream.
Yes.
Which that was, I'll tell you right now, like, if you've read volume, I think it's in the beginning of volume 3, actually.
It's a later episode. I'm trying to think which one that is, what season that was in.
I think it's the beginning of a season, so I think it's actually season 3, episode 2.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, either that or it's season 2, episode 2. But it is the longest episode I've ever written.
Really?
Because not only because I had to do it complete with spoilers, because the idea was, like, if Batman's in the dream the whole time, then I have to spend the entire way through analyzing every single element that is different about Batman's, false reality world to the real world, and why, if it's controlled by what he wants in the world, all the things that are different about it. And there's a lot of really interesting things that go into that. On top of that, like how the ending kind of mirrors Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo was kind of interesting. But the one thing that fascinated me is, if you're really paying attention, with very few exceptions that are well explained, in Batman's dream reality, all throughout that the Mad Hatter creates for him, it is the only instance of a Gotham City where there are no guns.
I didn't even realize that.
The only guns in the entire episode are a flare gun that is referred to, a hunting rifle that sits locked behind a desk, and one of the cops only once holds a shotgun, but only ever uses it in the context of breaking through a
door.
Break through a wooden plank.
Oh, okay.
But even if you look at all the cops, like, all their holsters are empty, and never any other point in the episode is that ever, are guns ever referred to throughout the entirety of it, which I found was just so fascinating in the idea of, like, that episode establishing the, what's referred to as the looking glass theory, which is, like they say in the episode, is this idea that Batman had a boring life of his parents giving him everything, so he created an alternate reality where the world revolves around him.
Now your books, where can they find them at?
Currently, the Man Who Watched Batman series, they're both for sale on Amazon.com.
Okay.
And keep a lookout in December, hopefully, for the Man Who Watched Batman Volume 3, which will cover everything up until episode 85. And then after that, we'll be releasing the volumes 1 through 3, first edition of the Omnibus, of all 3 of them put together.
Okay.
It'll also include the Mask of the Phantasm. Will be included in there as well. And then what we're going to do, we're going to have that as kind of like a temporary omnibus until Volume 4 is done. And then when Volume 4 is done, we are going to have, like, I don't know what we're going to call it, like the Dark Knight collection or whatever. And that is going to include all 3 of the movies. The Lost episode, which is the cutscenes from the Sega CD game. Some brief coverage on some of the tie-in stuff. The Superman Batman crossover episode. Like, all that stuff is going to be in there.
Okay. And then your Kickstarter. Again, give a good plug for that.
Absolutely. If you would like to be involved in the Corpse Corp Kickstarter, as of tonight, we are going to be actually adding some further rewards that will allow you to get more involved in having your little bitty imprint in the comic. If you'd like to look that up, look it up at tinyurl.com/corpsecorp. CORPSECORP.
Okay.
Check it out there, and there will be all sorts of fun stuff for you to look at with the project, including, hopefully soon, we'll have some more previews of Volume 1, of Issue 1 before its release. If you want to check that stuff out there. Also, if you want to check out any other stuff, other sites, it's all just /DeadmenInc. So you can check me out on YouTube, Twitch, SoundCloud. Eventually, we're going to be starting up some more stuff there. And Facebook, obviously. So you can check out all of that stuff there. The campaign has about $350 left to go to meet our goal. And we end on noon on November 7th.
And we'll put it up on the History of Bad Ideas Facebook page, too. And we'll tweet it out as well this week.
Absolutely.
Your Kickstarter and your the books on Amazon, too. You're not on Tumblr, though, are you?
I have one, but it's dead as a doornail. I've never figured out what to do with it.
So's ours.
Because everyone's like, oh, I just started up a Tumblr. I'm like, run now.
We have our podcast episode go up on Tumblr. I don't know how to get to our Tumblr site, though. So.
You know, you should add a new tier to your Kickstarter. It's called Don't Let Me Go Back on Hobie Again. Hey. And collect enough money so you don't have to come back on our podcast. Say, please, for the love of God, donate. Except the kicker is, in small print, to say, we only accept IOUs.
Just because
we only accept IOUs.
I still say we're better than snake oil. I'm just saying that. And Ken said that off air earlier, too.
I said I am fucking sweeted on this one. I said that up front.
Well, Ken, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming on. And anytime you got projects, let us know, man. We'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys looking out for me.
Thanks, man. Hello, Hobie listeners. What are you doing next September 22nd through the 24th, 2017? Jason, that's a year away. Well, sure it is. But you know what? It's never too early to plan for the Cincinnati Comic Expo. Last year we had Stan Lee, we had John Barrowman, and even Teddy Sears. Zip. He was fast. That's September 22nd through the 24th at the Duke Energy Convention Center in Cincinnati, Ohio. Check the Cincinnati Comic Expo Facebook page out for all the news, or you can listen to Hobie and we'll be updating it as they release the new guest. Again, Cincinnati Comic Expo, September 22nd through the 24th. Make your plans now.
It's time for Box Office Bombs.
All right, before we get to box office bombs, I just want to give a thanks for thanks to Ken Johnson for coming on. If anybody's interested, go ahead and check out his Kickstarter page for Corpse Corp. All right, box office news of this week. Bombing away here. Zach Galifianakis, second straight comedy movie bombing at the box office. Keeping Up with the Joneses made just $5.6 million in its opening week on a budget of $40 million. The film sits at 17% on Rotten Tomatoes, and oh my God, a B- on Cinema Score. It must be terrible.
But it's an A- on Entertainment Weekly. They really hated it.
They really hated it. So it's an A-. Okay.
I do like how it's still above Max Steel at 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's good.
Yes. Did
anyone care about this movie?
I actually wouldn't mind seeing it, but like I said, I'll watch it for free.
Yeah.
But Keeping Up with the Joneses, not good enough to crack the top 5 in its opening week, so that's not a good sign. What does crack the top 5? Number 1, the Madea Halloween.
I'm out.
Wait, wasn't it called Boo?
Yes.
The Madea Halloween?
Fuck this intern. Who screwed this up?
$28 million in its opening weekend on a $20 million budget. My biggest question is, what cost them $20 million in a Madea movie?
Well, you know,
I mean, Tyler Perry make $19 million, and then the rest
could have been the zombie special effects.
I think it's the moo. I think it's an expensive moo that she wears.
If you look at the rest of this list, did you want to go? Do we have time?
We can do it real quick.
Here, number 2, Jack Reacher: Never Go Back, $23 million in its opening weekend, $60 million budget.
23.
They actually said it was better than what the studio thought. They were going mid-teens.
Wow. Okay. Ouija: Origins of Evil.
Talk about Ouija.
Ouija.
Oh, it sounded like you said Ouija. Sorry, my bad.
No, I said
like
Ouija.
a little Ouija thing.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Squeegee.
Squeegee. Thank you.
Yeah, Squeegee.
Origin
of Evil. Made $14.5 million on its $9.9 million budget.
It's a hit.
The Accountant made $14 million, a total of $48 million. So there you go, Mr. Affleck.
It made
on
its
a
money.
$44 million budget. So from here on, it's gravy. Girl on a Train, another $7 million, bringing it up to $59 million on a $45 million budget.
There you go. But look at this 5 list here as compared to what we've had in the past. 28 million, 23, 14, 5, 14, 7.
It was number 5.
It's a dead zone for movies right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's perfect for Medea.
Oh,
Because if there were real movies going on, I don't think anybody would go watch that.
They said one of the reasons is because it's been 3 years since Medea has been in the theaters.
And they forgot how bad it was? You know what? Let's go see Medea. Oh, crap. I forgot how bad this was.
Tyler Perry still hasn't learned how to act. Damn it! Is he back in Alex Cross again? Is he Alex Cross again?
Was he in Alex Cross?
Yeah, he was Alex Cross.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was. Now that you
Yeah.
mention it.
That didn't work out too well. God, fucking Medea. Come on, people. You would think. Come on, America.
I'm just missing a Kevin James
Well,
movie.
the
on
part
the
is,
list
it's
for you,
not
Jason.
it's not just Medea. It's Boo, Medea Halloween. Like they're going to have like some of the worst Halloween puns and costumes and crap going on.
I cannot wait to get that movie poster.
I'm going to put a cap in that zombie's ass.
Did she say that?
No, but I bet it's in there.
Ah, I bet you. Hallelujah. I bet you it is. Oh, fuck you, Boo. Fuck you. God dang it, Tyler Perry. Just stop it.
Oh, you know
Well,
what? Maybe
buy
it's
sell.
funny. Maybe it's really funny.
No,
I heard Ghostbusters was too.
cross dressing's not funny. Someone dressing up as it's just not funny.
Yeah. But she's a grandma in it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's funny.
Yeah, see, she's got...
Maybe when
Mrs.
Flip
Doubtfire.
Wilson did it before any of us were born, it was funny.
Mrs. Doubtfire's
Did you
Halloween.
really go for a Flip Wilson?
I did. I'm trying to get the
75 to 80?
yes.
We're talking
He
about...
isn't even the first, black funny guy to dress up as a woman. Flip Wilson did it first.
Let's go back to the Jack Parr days. Let me do that joke, okay? Really get the 80-year-old crowd in.
Buy sell. Since we're talking about it.
What's upcoming?
I was going to do that after buy sell.
Oh, okay, let's do that.
Since we were talking about Tyler Perry, buy sell Tyler Perry. I'd buy Tyler Perry stock.
You have to leave personal feelings out of it.
You have to
You're
buy
in
it.
to
Every
make
time
money.
he throws a Medea movie
Do
out
it.
there, it sells, or
That's
at least
right.
makes money.
Yeah.
Somebody goes to those movies.
I can't... He is the new version of Ernest. He's the new version.
Yeah.
He really is.
That is correct.
They made, 8 or 9 Ernest
Yeah.
movies? Yeah.
Ernest does something. I think that was like number 8.
Dallas.
Ernest does something. No, that was it. Ernest does something.
That's how he died of the STDs. Ernest does Dallas.
Buy sell Tom Cruise.
I'm selling.
Selling.
Yeah, I don't see... I don't
sir.
see what Tom Cruise can do to justify keeping stock around anymore.
No.
No, nothing.
No.
Clear my portfolio, bring in some good young blood like Tyler Perry into my portfolio.
You know what would be good for him? Let's trademark this idea. This will be our second trademark
Okay.
of the night. He should make another movie with Rebecca Mesa Horne. De Mornay.
My 20-year-old.
Yeah. Risky Business 2.
Oh.
Where
Riskier business.
They're the parents this time around.
You
So
know.
you're saying we need to reboot Risky Business?
No, not reboot. It's a sequel.
It's a sequel.
Oh, okay, it's a sequel. So
Made-
they are
made for
the
today.
same characters from
They're older versions of themselves.
And now she's a
Tom Cruise is the dad is whatever, and
She's a
Rebecca
high-end
Mesa
escort.
Horne, she's still a high-end madam. Now she's a madam now.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
She's up on
But
the food
but they're
chain.
married now with kids.
But they're like married now with kids. And
Common law.
And it opens up with the camera pans in on the fireplace mantle, the crystal
the
egg,
egg.
and pans out, and it's got him as an old guy now dancing in his underwear in socks to what's that song that he was doing?
Old time rock and roll.
Old time rock and roll.
But he looks like the guy from what is Tropic Thunder? The role
Yeah.
played Tropic Thunder.
Stop it. No.
No. It is him. Natural,
okay.
natural mode, dancing, and she comes in and just turns and one of the kids come in and just turn the damn
Radio
music
down.
off and says, "Dad, go put some pants on for Christ's sake."
You know the sad thing is, if a studio is listening, They just probably wrote that. You know what? This guy has a good idea. Let's go get Blake.
Hey, what's that comic that was making fun of the Fantastic Four?
Yeah. I am Dorkly.
Yeah.
Dorkly, I think, is stealing our ideas here.
Yeah.
If you go to Dorkly, they have a studio executive talking about the Fantastic Four and how they're not giving the rights away.
And exactly how we do it in studio voice fashion. Yeah, studio exec fashion.
I think they actually took your audio straight off.
I think
our
so.
recording.
Yeah, it was weird.
Our attorneys are looking into it, Dorkly. Just saying.
The sad part is our attorneys are also our interns.
Okay, so what's upcoming?
Upcoming on October 28th, we got Inferno. I'm assuming it's a scary movie.
No,
Another
it's
Dan Brown.
Tom Hanks.
It's a Tom
Robert Langdon.
Langdon, okay.
The symbologist.
Is anybody wanting this? Like, I really hope they finish this trilogy.
I understood.
I understood. The fifth book or so. There's 5 books in.
I know, but third movie, I meant.
The Great Da Vinci thing, awesome.
Yeah.
You know, the Illuminati for the second one, okay, good. I can still buy it. But solving riddles and puzzles now from an organization that's making a plague?
Yes.
What the but it doesn't make sense,
Based
man.
off of Dante's Inferno. Come on. It's right there in front of you.
They're big fans of Labyrinth. That's why. I nobody wants this. It's been, 10 years since the last one? Angels and Demons?
Not quite that long.
You know, I mean, if,
At
maybe
least they got rid of the
something else.
hair after the first one.
The hair was so bad.
Yeah.
They tried to do it like the book described it, and it's like, yeah, that's not working.
Yeah, so don't go see Inferno. But
Or
don't
go see Inferno.
Yeah, go
What
see
about
Inferno.
Scary movies. Is Ouija the only scary movie we got this year?
Squeegee.
Squeegee. Is Squeegee the only scary movie
I think so. And Boo. Medea.
I said scary movie. No Saw movies this year? What's going on?
That's next year. They're rebooting it. Angels Demons 2009. So 7 years.
All right, everybody's favorite segment, Top 5. This is where we get to put things in a list and yell at each other for taking stupid options. This week's Top 5, TV shows you watched after they became popular.
After they became popular.
So it was out there, they became popular, and then you
watched.
Then you said, oh, why did everybody watch that? Maybe I should start watching it.
Or you feel left out at the water cooler and he's talking about this great show.
Yep.
Or, you know, people could be talking about it at a podcast and you feel left out because you haven't seen 7 seasons yet.
Or Game of Thrones 6 seasons.
Or Game of Thrones 6 seasons.
Yeah.
Or haven't watched The Flash. I think we covered all 3 of us.
Jeff, why don't you go?
I will go. My number 5, as we kind of just mentioned, was Game of Thrones. I did not see Game of Thrones until the first season came out on DVD. I did not see the second season until it came out on DVD. And I did not see the third season until it came out on DVD.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Then it started getting pretty damn good, so I found a way of getting HBO and watched it
Okay.
weekly at that point.
He tapped into his neighbor's cable.
What the old bat don't know won't hurt her.
Jeff, why is there an extension cord coming from my electrical box to your house? Don't worry about it. My number 5 is Orphan Black.
So you have watched it.
I'm 1 season behind, I think.
Okay.
So, really good show. I really liked it.
It's one on my big long list of things I do need to watch.
Trashman, a.k.a. Max Headroom, is in it. Matt Freer.
Oh, my Fuhrer's in that?
Yes.
And he's in Timeless?
Yes, he's in a lot of different things. No, Orphan Black's about a clone, but there's more and more clones of this girl.
Clones upon
Well,
clones.
she doesn't know she's a clone to begin with.
Correct. And it just, have you seen it?
I know the concept.
Okay.
I've read about it. I haven't watched it.
It's really good.
Maybe
really well
maybe
done.
it'll be on the next time we do this list.
There you go. Have we done this list before?
No.
Okay, good. Just making sure. Like deja vu all over again.
Eventually we'll run out of ideas. You have to revisit it.
We'll recycle everything.
Top 5 revisited.
Give me a top 5, fuckers.
Top 5 modified.
What's your number 5, Blake?
Top 5 modifiers. What is your favorite modifier?
Next week, top 5.
Number 5. I actually started watching the reruns of this, like on TBS or something.
Smoke.
And then I just started watching it. Actually, the old lady and I. No, it was Modern Family.
Oh, great show.
I go back and I'm watching. I'm like, this is really funny. How come I haven't been watching it?
Yeah.
At first, the first time I saw it, I kept going, that what's-her-name looks really familiar, but I can't put my finger on where I've seen her before.
Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, yes. I'm like, that's it.
She looks totally different.
I had to go IMDb the show to like, that's who she is.
She's gotten better looking with age.
Yeah, she has.
She's done the opposite of Ed O'Neill.
And she was also in Lost for a couple of episodes.
Yeah, no one cares.
Yeah, we forgot about that.
She was with the polar bear?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, she was in the flashback. She was Jack's wife in flashbacks.
Really?
Yep.
I forgot all about that.
You're not going to go back and watch it, are you, though?
No.
Okay, good.
But I watch Modern Family.
What's your number 4?
Number 4, actually, this is one that it only lasted one season. But a lot of people and critics loved it, but it got canceled and it broke everybody's hearts. And then when the original Spider-Man came out, the first trilogy, and it had...
Tobey Maguire?
No.
Kirsten Dunst.
No.
Sam Raimi?
No. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank now. For crying out loud.
That was a good segue.
Oh, James Franco.
James Franco. That's right. James Franco. I remember reading about it. Oh, yeah, James Franco. Freaks and Geeks is James Franco. And everybody's like, oh, that's awesome. Blah. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then I saw the first episode of Freaks and Geeks by accident. And I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And then I went, I'm hooked. And then I watched it until the end of season 1. I said, fuck you.
Where's the second
TV?
season?
I hate you, TV.
I've never seen it.
It's really good.
I've
heard.
heard watching it.
It
probably should be on your long list of things.
Yeah.
that you should
It
watch.
should be. Think of Stranger Things in an episode for a long series, but without the weird supernatural stuff. Just make it more
Yeah.
80s sitcom-ish kind of deal.
Does
And
it
I
take
was-
place in the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, fuck you! You canceled this one season!
Was it Fox?
Yes.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Or was it? No, it was NBC.
Really?
Fox was undeclared. His next show was on
Yeah,
Fox like 2
follow
years
up.
later, and then that
I
was
heard
canceled
good things
after
about
a season.
Undeclared.
It's pretty good.
Is it?
Seth Rogen, Charlie Hunnam.
Yeah. And of course, what's the guy that produced it? He's done the movies.
Apatow.
Yeah, Apatow. This was Apatow's, baby, Freaks and Geeks. And this is actually where Rogan and Franco, he actually helped encourage them to help write scripts for the show. And that's where they got their script writing, teeth cutting, done on it. And what's her name? I forget the older sister goes
Linda
in.
Cardinelli.
Cardinelli. She plays Thelma in the Scooby-Doos.
That's where everybody was talking about her from.
Yeah. She was just recently on that one Netflix show. I can't remember the name of it now. Take place in Florida with all the mystery and Kyle Chandler. And
Oh, yeah. I know.
Oh, she had a
Bloodlines or some
Yeah,
blood
Bloodlines.
something. Yeah.
yeah, and she had a cameo where she was the I forget the aquarium lady in some show or movie where she had a cameo in there, and it was like, oh yeah, Cardinelli's in there. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
That one I don't. She was also in ER for a couple seasons.
She was
too.
in Serbian film.
Oh.
Number 4 is old HBO, 6 Feet Under. Love 6 Feet Under.
I started watching it like after it was done
Yeah.
or whatnot, and I got like through 3 episodes, and
You gotta get through the first, like,
I mean,
it builds.
I enjoyed it, but I wasn't hooked to make sure I continued to watch it, and other things I started watching took precedence.
It's a good show. I loved it. I've watched it twice now, this series, I think now. Really enjoyed it. So 6 Feet Under, old HBO. Jeff, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Alias. Jennifer Gardner show. Didn't really watch it like the first season and a half. Watched it when it was the show after the Super Bowl.
Oh, okay.
So the Super Bowl, they were trying to push that show or whatever, and of course they started you in right by showing her wearing different types of lingerie for the first 15 minutes of the show.
Nothing wrong with that.
So it's like, okay, why haven't I not been watching this? And the great part about it was, like, that episode, they completely changed everything. Like, she's a spy working undercover in, like, the bad guys thing. That episode, they busted up and they caught all the bad guys or most of the bad guys. And it's like, where do they go from there? I mean, and then I went back and watched it from the beginning, and honestly, the first season and a half was probably the best stuff they did. The next stuff I still enjoyed, but wasn't as good. But it took me a while to get into Alias, but that's what I'm going with there.
What's your number 3?
My number 3, Dexter.
Ah.
The Michael C. Hall
Yeah.
appearance here, but Dexter is one that, is probably 4 seasons into it before I started watching it. Everybody talked about it and how great it was, and John Lithgow's season was so great, and I started watching it about the 5th season, and then had to go back and watch the first 4 seasons.
I like the first season.
The 3rd season's the best.
Is that Lithgow?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Okay, my
But
number...
don't watch the last episode.
I've heard how to end it. I'm a lumberjack. Yes, I am. Work all night. My number 3 is something I've been watching on TBS every night now, and fall asleep to it. Back first couple months.
Friends?
Yes, Friends. I never watched it when it was on air.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I watched it like an episode maybe here or there.
I never watched it religiously.
No.
I mean, I'd watch it every once in a while, but I wasn't
It's enjoyable.
dedicated to it.
With having a newborn, we were up for the first couple months in the middle of the night, and it was always on at that time.
Yeah, you're like TBS at the end of going to bed. I'm like, they show Friends for 6 hours.
Yes.
It's gotta
There you
be-
go.
It's a great show. I really enjoy it.
I don't even think I've made it through the finale.
Finale. The last 2 seasons are rough.
Yeah.
It's not as good, but
When they've all dated each other and messed around with each other, at a certain point in time, it's
Pretty
like
much
the
after
show's jumped the
Rachel had
shark
the
after a
baby.
while.
Rachel having the baby was the...
that's what they're on right now. And TBS right now, just to let
Yeah.
you know, it's towards the end of the series, so that's where we're at now. Blake, what's your number 3?
My number 3. This actually, there's a number of periods in my life where like I'm removed from American television.
He said period.
Yeah, exactly. There's some ages where I'm like not living in the United States for long periods of time, and this is one of those shows that started when I was not here in the States. And I remember, I think I was on Comedy Central one day, and I was working from home, and I usually have the TV on in the background for noise. And I took a break and I started watching, and I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, why haven't I known about this show? And of course I had to go back, and now I watch it religiously. And it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Very good show.
That's a good one.
I'm like, hey, I'm still waiting for the next season. For crying out loud.
Yeah, Jason's the reason I watched that from the beginning.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh man, there's this show. It's just great. You got to see it." So I
Yeah.
saw
It's a funny show.
About the 3rd or 4th episode, I
Yeah.
finally got around to seeing, and
And
it's like,
apparently they've got their own restaurant. What's his name? Mac. Mac's got his own restaurant bar in Philadelphia now.
In real life?
I think it's called Mac's.
oh, it should be called Patty's Pub.
No, or it's Patty's or Mac's, or I forget.
Maybe you don't want FX taking it.
Yeah,
taking it
That's
over.
true.
If you look it up, and yeah, it's a true thing. I'm like, damn. I wish I was there.
What's
Is it-
your...
is it me?
Oh,
Oh,
is your
back
number
to
3?
number
Yeah,
two.
you're number 2. We do
Number
a snake.
2. Yeah, I say, now this was back in the day. Somebody said, you got to watch this show. And I remember I watched one episode. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand these jokes. I don't get it.
Kevin Can Wait?
I think we
Yep.
might have the same number 2.
Might have the same number too. And then I'm like, somebody said this show was so funny. I watch it. I don't get it. And then years later, I'm like, you know what? You got to watch this. And I started watching from the very beginning, and it was one of the best TV shows ever. It's Arrested Development.
Arrested Development, my number 2. Also.
That's right. And if you don't watch it from the very beginning, there's jokes and background jokes that you'll never get in season 2 in the middle, see episode 50, if you haven't watched it from the beginning. And that's the problem with the show. You have to watch them in sequential order, number 1 through the end, and everything is just fucking hilarious.
Always money in the banana
There's
stand.
always money in the banana stand.
Now, the reason I started watching this was we had like Christmas.
Was this
or
your
whatever.
number 2?
It's my number 2.
All right, cool. Great minds think alike. You know?
They do.
That's right.
We had Christmas, families get together for Christmas, and
That's right.
we were playing, what's it, Seen It trivia,
Yeah, seen it.
movie, yeah, TV edition of Seen It we were playing. And there was like some question, and we divided the teams up, and it was so weird that it just had some question came up, and it was about Arrested Development.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on my team just stared blankly, trying to figure out what the hell was even being asked. We're like, I have no clue.
With
Like,
good reason.
everybody on the other team, like 4 on one side, 4.
Yeah.
The 4 people who watched the show and loved it were on one team, and the 4 who had no clue what it was were the ones trying to answer this question.
Yeah.
And so then after that question, like we just started talking about it, and my family that had watched it was talking about how great it was. That, here, borrow the DVD. So started watching on DVD, and it's like, this is excellent. Even
It
if
is.
Jason rolls his eyes when we mention
All the
it.
time. We talk about it all the time. Every time we bring it up.
I'm sorry, we're back. My number 2.
Oh, by the way, Linda Cardinelli. I can't remember what show she was.
Yeah.
She makes an appearance in, but she's all over Robot Chicken. You know her voice.
Is she in the one with the robot where he has the groin and the knee or whatever it was, or they punch them in the nose? Is that the one?
I still haven't figured out what movie that was. One day I'll remember.
Number 2 for me might be Jeff's number 1, Firefly.
No, it's just an honorable mention for me.
Oh, okay. Firefly, you got me hooked on it, Jeff, after it was on. And I actually watched them in order, unlike Fox. Fuck you. And great show. Everybody, we've talked about it many times. And Firefly is my number 2.
Yeah, Firefly and Freaks and Geeks didn't make my list just pretty much because they only lasted the season, and that just disappointed me so much I didn't feel like putting them on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your...
my number 2 is Arrested Development.
What's your number 1?
My number 1 is Breaking Bad.
Oh.
It was a show, I still think it's probably the best show of the last 20 years.
Wow.
It starts slow, so it's tough to get in on. I didn't start watching it until halfway through the last season, so like everybody at work is like trying not to talk about it when the new show comes up when I'm in the room because they knew I just started it.
Oh, they're so nice.
They were nice, and then I'd leave the
would've said
room,
it.
and then
I
they
would've
spent
said,
hours talking.
Get out of
about
here,
it.
Jeff. I'm gonna talk.
It's like I kind of felt bad, but then I caught up for like the last 6 episodes, so it's like, yeah, I can talk about it, and it was so
Yeah.
fun when they say, "I envy you." Because I know you get to watch these episodes for the first time. And I'm like, wow.
And you get to watch them in order.
Yeah.
You can binge.
I
See,
did binge.
it's one of those shows that if it was on, I'd watch it, and sometimes I'd be like, I don't know what's going on, and sometimes I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But I did watch like the last 3 or 4 episodes in the finale.
Oh, jeez.
So I'm like, I know how it ends. Screw everything else.
Okay.
My number 1, Sports Night. Ape Hands gave that to me.
Ape hands.
And I loved it. I watched it. I couldn't get enough of the DVD set. It was 43 episodes, I think. And I've watched it, I think, 4 or 5 times now. The whole series. I love that show.
So you didn't actually see it until it was off the
Nope.
air. Oh,
Nope.
I did not know that.
And yeah, great one. My favorite show was probably my favorite show of all time. So yeah, Sports Night. If you have not seen it, you should. I'm Dan.
I forgot his name. Casey.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest lines. Can't give yourself a nickname.
Can't give yourself a nickname.
Cutman. He won't respond unless you call him Cutman. Not call him Cutman. Hello, Don. Don, you there? Cutman. Hey, Dan.
But if you watch it, be wary. What the first half of the first season has a laugh track.
Yes.
That is really off-putting.
And then the last half of the first season, like they mute the laugh track slowly, like it's quieter. It's like, then why are we even having the laugh track in it?
And then they got rid of the laugh
Then they
track
got rid of it.
completely.
Thank
And then
God.
they got better.
Well, the show was still good,
yes.
but it wasn't. You weren't annoyed by the laugh,
laugh
track.
track.
Okay.
Because they tell jokes that aren't necessarily laugh out loud jokes, but they were clever.
They're
little,
humorous.
Yes.
Yeah. You know how Aaron Sorkin's talking back and forth, blah, blah,
Walk
blah.
and talk.
Well, one, they're always quick fire, so, like, the laugh track is laughing over somebody else's line, which is terrible.
Thank you,
Yeah.
ABC. Anyways, what's your number 1, Blake?
My number 1, this was another period in which, before it was popular, I left the country, and then when I returned, almost 6 years later, it was the last season, and so I remember getting back, repatriating, and of course, remember this is the time before internet and all this other kind of stuff. So you know what's going on. Oh yeah, this show, yeah, okay.
King
I
of
remember
Queens.
I came back just in time for the finale. This was back in '98. Dating myself. And
I was 19.
yeah, and of course when I went back to Afghanistan, I bought the entire season and I watch it episode by episode, plus each episode notes and commentary. Because when you're not doing things in Afghanistan,
There's nothing to
there's
do.
nothing to do. So, but Seinfeld.
Oh, great show. Great show. Mm-hmm. I do love that show. I used to watch that when it was on all the time. Like every week I was looking forward to it. So that's a good one. I like Seinfeld.
Good list, everyone.
Good list. Good job.
Normally we dog everybody's list.
Yes. Well, that's another episode. Thanks to Ken Johnson for coming on. Let's see. Bad idea of the week is 289. It's poking Blake in Canada in a Canadian bar. Just don't do it.
It's a bad idea.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
That's right.
Roger says goodbye.
Goodbye.
From Walking Dead to Talking Heads, from comic books to TV sets, there's a history of not so bad. There's the history. It's the history of bad, so bad. The history of bad, it's bad. The history of bad ideas. Podcast.
And for Game 6, we're not recording next week.
All right. Good.
See, so there you go.
But unfortunately, it's going to be a 4-game sweep.
Well, I mean, fortunately.
Well, fortunately,
Yeah.
but you won't get to be there on Tuesday to watch the game because Cleveland will already have won.
I think we talked about it on Saturday's episode. We're like, we either want I wanted the Indians sweep, and he's like, I want the Cubs to lose in Game 7 in the worst possible way, like some fluke, just so their curse continues and just haunts the city.
Actually, you know what'll probably happen? It'll be like Game 7, and both teams keep fluking it. and it's going to be who can fluke it the worst in order to lose. That's what's
We're in
going
the
to happen.
50th inning. Anytime
Exactly,
one
that's-
team does
Exactly. That's
screws
what
up, the other team screws up just as bad.
That's what it's going to be. Who can fluke the worst?
Ready?
Meanwhile, fans will be like,
All
you
right.
know, slitting their wrists and like, no,
Cubs.
God, no.
And 5,
Fucking
4,
millennial.